All
start
right.
recording, and I'm rolling.
Dude, we're rolling.
Here
Okay,
we go.
everybody, welcome to Empty Screening, brand new podcast. I'm your host, Dave, here with my co-host, Elliot. How you doing today, Elliot?
We're doing good. There's been a lot of hours preparation leading to this one. It's gonna be really exciting. I could barely sleep. I was so excited.
I was excited too. Elliot, why don't you explain what the dealio is for today's episode? Or how about actually we introduce ourselves first? Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, Elliot.
Yeah. Well, I'm Elliot Hobbs. I love movies. I'm quite the fan. It's what I'm studying at the moment at the university, and I guess my love from filmmaking comes from my family just watched a lot of movies growing up. So that's something I storytelling is something I'm very passionate about. And so when it comes to criticizing movies or even enjoying them as I mean, you want to enjoy a movie, right? I think the story and the characters make me very excited, and I love to discuss them because there's something everyone can discuss or kind of relate to. So that's where I'm at.
I agree. And I also grew up loving movies. My mom wasn't big into movies, but my dad really was. And, I grew up falling in love with movies like Star Wars or Indiana Jones, like most people. And as I grew older, I kind of fell in love more with like art house movies like David Lynch or, I don't know, Wong Kar-wai, that sort of stuff. But just absolutely love movies. And one of the fun things about our relationship is that we disagree a lot of times
We
about
do.
movies. And we're hoping that some of that disagreement can lead to some fun podcast entertainment. I mean, we obviously both respect each other's opinions quite a bit, and I'm excited because I feel like this particular episode we're going to be going into a pretty divisive filmmaker. So tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about what we're going to be talking about today, Elliot.
Okay, so Tim Burton's one of my probably top five, if not top three, favorite
Wow.
directors. I love the aesthetic that he brings. Obviously, it was so iconic it got a name, the Burton-esque. It's
Yeah.
like they made a word for it, which is very fun. But no, my dad, talking about our parents' influences on us, more or less with media, right? My dad loved Tim Burton, and so I definitely got little peeks and little snippets as a kid, but I definitely didn't get all of his catalog. And so this summer, I was thinking, you know what, this year I want to go through everything he's ever made and get to check out the stuff I'd knew nothing about before and kind of see where it was at. And then I thought, you know what if we made a tier list? And then obviously at this time I'm up there living in Alaska. You and I were coworkers up there, obviously. That's where we met.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it started with Wednesday season 2. That was the first watch slash rewatch of the year for me. And so after that, I think the next one I did was Ed Wood. And then I did Wednesday season 1. And then we just kind of went through the catalog, and it was quite the ride. I mean, there's some directors where it's like you're looking at it and you know there's going to be some bad ones that are going to be hard to get through, but low key,
Yeah.
this time around, I had a lot of fun with most of them. Like the majority of them were thoroughly enjoyable, which is what you want. Like if we had to do a
Yeah.
Marvel marathon, man, there'd be some rough ones to get through.
Yeah.
But I mean, for 21 movies and 2 seasons of TV, and that's just like what he directed. Plus, I mean, we can get into the little nuances. We've kind of set some very loose bounds with, I guess, what we're talking
Yeah,
about
for
today.
sure.
But
Yeah, and so here's my relationship with Tim Burton. Unlike you, it seems like I didn't really grow up with Tim Burton movies. The only one I ever saw as a kid was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
no way.
Yeah, that was it.
That was one of
And
mine too.
yeah, and I enjoyed it when I was a kid. We'll see how it ranks on my list coming forward, but
Yeah.
uh, I really enjoyed Tim Burton, but never really, like you said, did a deep dive. I've only ever seen a few of his movies up to this point. And I was honestly kind of skeptical about doing this just because I knew that some of his movies, for a lot of people, are just hated, hated, hated. And then he has some amazing, beloved, universally acclaimed movies as well. But what I found when I was going through it, kind of like what you were saying, is that there were a few stinkers, yes, a few that I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
love. that were kind of tough for me to get through. But overall, I grew to appreciate Tim Burton as a director about 10 times more than what I did before. Just grew to really love his aesthetic, the vibes, the music, his collaborators with like Danny Elfman, Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter. Just grew to really love um, what he was going for and how he has such a distinct vision. And I think he could really be like a lot of kids' introduction to like, oh, so there can be different directors that have different styles in
Oh yeah,
movies, you know? It's like kind of a kid's first Wes Anderson almost. And I think that's really awesome. And just what a cool vision. And I'm honestly really excited to get diving into his movies today.
absolutely. Even darker themes too, like some of
Yeah.
his kids' movies. And it's funny, the people that he worked with, like the one we're talking about today, Nightmare Before Christmas, is one of the ones that he didn't direct, but he was obviously very involved with. Was it Henry Selick who directed that?
Yes. Henry Selick, the same
Yeah,
guy who made Coraline. Yeah.
and James and the Giant Peach. So obviously Tim Burton had a lot more involvement with Nightmare Before Christmas. Like he created all the characters for that, and then he produced that. He also produced James and the Giant Peach, obviously, but I
Mhm.
think Henry Selick had a little bit more of a hand in that. And then obviously, like Coraline was pretty much just Henry Selick. But those are also movies that are like these are for kids, but my goodness, are they? They have some dark things, and I feel like
Yeah.
him and Burton both really thrive in that category. The classic Mr. Rogers, bringing things that you don't typically talk about with kids, like the death of a dog.
Yeah. I think it's kind of beautiful that um he is willing to go melancholic. And you know, in a world where kids animation movies always just end perfectly and everything
Yeah,
ends on the happiest of note, it's so nice seeing like a movie like Corpse Bride where it's more melancholic and it leaves kids kind of having to grapple with their own emotions. I think that's beautiful, honestly.
absolutely.
So,
So
all
here's
right,
what
yeah.
I'm thinking we're gonna kind of do here. So we were originally gonna talk a little bit about who Tim Burton is and kind of um, the career that he had and kind of his journey here. And we've, as talking about it, have decided a little bit more against it. But having looked into him, especially a lot during this last month, I definitely would recommend to anyone out there listening in our empty screening to delve deeper a little bit into his career because I think it's very fascinating. It's taken quite a few turns, and I mean, it's still going today. And we might touch on some of the areas of his life, but he truly is a very, very fascinating individual. But what I think we discussed what we're going to do is we're going to go real quick chronologically and introduce all the movies slash shows that we will be covering today in chronological order. So starting with the first year, and that more or less, I guess, can be a little bit of an introduction to Tim Burton. We'll give a quick blurb, like basic plot. That way, obviously, I hadn't seen all the movies before, and I'm a big Tim Burton fan. So I feel like most people out there listening have not seen them either. And just to give a little context, we'll go through that. Maybe add some of the returning actors. And then if you want to go watch them yourselves, like, honestly, with a few exceptions, we'd recommend that for sure. But,
Honestly, like maybe there's a few that you can skip over,
oh,
but
yeah,
basically every single one of his movies is
there's
worth
something
watching to
there.
some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Tim Burton started off his career not with some gothic masterpiece like you might think of, but with Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
It's
That was
first
the movie
feature,
that got
yep.
him into the scene. He had actually worked with Disney a bit before that. He'd come out with a few short films, including Vincent, which I don't know. Are you going to be talking about Vincent today?
We could talk about some of his short films. I think Vincent
Okay.
is one of my favorites for sure.
It's my favorite. I loved Vincent. I might include that on my list just because of how much I enjoyed it. But Pee Wee's Big Adventure was his first directorial debut. And after that, he followed it up with Beetlejuice, which is probably really the first time people began to notice Tim Burton, his
Oh
style,
yeah.
his sense of humor, kind of what he was known for.
And I mean in Beetlejuice too, so that one came out in 88. So or 85 was Pee-wee. So this was 3 years after
Yeah.
Pee-wee. Now, Pee-wee, none of those actors, maybe a handful, had like a second appearance in some of his later movies, but none of them really returned. And a
Yeah.
cool theme you'll notice in Burton movies that gets you very excited are, yo, it's that guy that played that thing. It's almost like a Marvel cameo, some of the actors that they have in here. And they're
Yeah,
really,
for
really
sure.
exciting for me. But Beetlejuice is where you get Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Catherine O'Hara, all for their first time with good old Timmy.
Yeah, and those three will pop up in a bunch of other movies going forward. After that, we had another Michael Keaton movie. That is Batman. I mean, if Beetlejuice was already a big hit, but Batman was an even bigger hit,
I mean, it's
definitely
big.
got definitely got Tim Burton on the mat. I mean, really, that was kind of the movie that you could talk point to Spider-Man in 2000s, but I feel like Batman was really the first time big superhero movie kind of set the standard for what superhero movies should look like going forward. I guess you
Yeah,
had Superman, but that felt more vintage old Hollywood compared to this, which is just like straightforward
very unique.
blockbuster, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. And then what do we have after that?
Next, we have a little movie called Edward Scissorhands, and this is, from what it looks like, Johnny Depp's first.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is Johnny Depp's first with good old um, Tim Burton, and then obviously Winona Ryder returns, and that kind of started a relationship between Depp and Ryder that got to hear a lot about in the recent trial. I
Yeah, for sure.
guess it's not that recent
And
anymore, is it?
no, that was a couple years ago now. I'm looking at this on Wikipedia too, and apparently this was also the first time he produced his movie and wrote the movie. So before
Yeah.
that, he wasn't credited as a screenwriter. So that's his first writing credit,
Well,
which is
honestly,
awesome.
delving into his history a little bit too, like a lot of the stories you'll notice he's taken from other areas, and
Yeah,
he really doesn't tend to interact with his scripts too much. Like he brings in the visual element, which is why I think they only brought him in to direct stuff like Wednesday and
yeah,
whatnot. But that is a pattern you'll notice, and so it's weird to have these little exceptions. And I wonder how good they are in our rankings, the ones that he
yeah.
wrote. Let's see
I
what
guess we'll have to
happens.
wait and see. But after Edward Scissorhands, there was Batman Returns, Return of Michael Keaton, and also Danny DeVito. I
Danny
believe this was
DeVito's
the
first
first.
run in. Yep.
Yeah, and we love seeing Danny DeVito. I always get excited when Danny DeVito shows up in his movies. He's a great inclusion. And then
Yeah.
we had Nightmare Before Christmas, which we are including on this list,
Yes,
even
we
though he didn't
are.
direct the movie.
Eh,
I feel like it is a Tim Burton movie because he
Without Tim
wrote it.
Burton, what would this movie have looked like?
It,
You know,
it wouldn't even exist, you
it
know?
really wouldn't.
And so I feel like it's unfair to not include this as being a Tim Burton movie, even though, he had maybe a bit more hands-off approach during production. Like he was absolutely critical in pre-production and
Oh yeah,
post, I think. So
and just I mean,
um
we just talked about what does Burton do in his movies, right? Concept art. He does a lot with the character design,
yeah,
and like he's a little bit hands off with the script. So obviously those pre-production elements, and especially his claymation style that you see in Vincent. I mean, going back to Vincent, you look at Vincent, you will see a lot of, I guess, inspiration for some of his future things, and you can already see like Zero, Sally, the mayor, Loki, a lot of the styles in there.
yeah,
You can see those in Vincent. So without him, yeah, it's a Tim Burton movie. I don't think that's a
for sure.
hot take.
No, I agree completely. I mean, his name is in the title of the movie,
Yeah,
so
it
we
is.
should include it on the list. After that, we had Ed Wood, which was his second collaboration with Johnny Depp, I believe, and fantastic movie as well. We'll get into talking about Ed Wood, but
Ed Wood,
really,
the famous director, or now he's more
yeah,
renowned because of this movie. A
yeah,
little
beloved
tribute.
director of Plan 9 from Outer Space, which I
Oh
had
yeah.
seen before watching Ed Wood. So it was really fun to
Oh
get to
yeah.
watch Ed Wood after having already seen Plan 9 from Outer Space. So we'll talk about that movie later.
And that's
After that, we had,
Lisa. I was gonna say that's Lisa Marie's first
oh, okay, yeah.
with him,
Talk a
and
little bit about,
I was gonna say he ended up having a bit of a romantic stint with her that lasted a handful of years. And honestly, the next, let's see, one, two, three movies of his, almost the next 10 years of his life, she is involved in all of his projects until that gets cut off for a different character that kind of shows up later. But that's her first with
interesting,
him, and she's the only one really in that one. Or no, in a later one, but one of the last ones they did
interesting.
together.
Cool. Yeah, after Ed Wood, we had Mars Attacks, which it is kind of funny that he made a movie about a B movie director and then his follow-up movie was him trying to make a B movie. He must have been
Oh
inspired
yeah.
by Edward Wood Jr. So we had Mars Attacks, and then after that, Sleepy Hollow,
This is
which
his powerhouse
includes
cast, yeah.
for sure, yeah, you got Christopher Lee in there. Who else was introduced in this one? Oh, I mean, I was surprised to see Ian McDermott, who
Yeah.
plays Palpatine. I didn't even know he was in the movie, and that was fun to see. I think that was the first time I'd ever seen him outside of anything Star Wars, so kind of fun.
That's Christina Ricci's first with him as well. She obviously comes back for
Okay.
Wednesday. Michael Goh, who's Alfred, obviously he's in there. Martin
Hmm.
Landau, who Martin Landau, I think his most notable performance for me was in Ed Wood. So now every time I see him in a movie, I was like, hey, there's Bela Lugosi.
I
So
loved
Bela
him as Bela
Lugosi's
Lugosi. Yeah,
in Sleepy Hollow as well. Good take on one of my
for
favorite
sure.
stories. One of my favorite stories. Sleepy Hollow.
For sure. It's a classic. After that, we
Classic.
had Planet of the Apes. Is that the first Helena Bonham Carter? Tim
I
Burton?
did not see her in. No, it's not. Lisa Marie's in there
Okay.
though. She's
Okay.
the only
Yeah.
returning one, and that is where the relationship ends.
Interesting. Okay. So it was bad enough of a production that their relationship was terminated after that.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Matt Damon though.
Matt Damon's in
Just
there.
kidding.
And then we had Big Fish, which is his only collaboration with uh, what's his name? Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other cool people. Danny DeVito in there as well.
Wait a second. Matt
Then
Damon's not in this movie.
no Matt Damon.
I thought he was one of the monkey. I wrote Matt Damon lookalike. There we go. What am I
Oh,
talking about?
okay, that's. I was gonna say I do not remember Matt Damon in any Tim Burton movie. Although
No.
they should collaborate. They should do something together. After that, we have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, another Johnny Depp movie. I feel like after this, it's just like Johnny Depp after Johnny Depp movie
Yeah.
because you have The Corpse Bride, return to animation with Henry Selick again. Or was it Henry Selick who worked on Corpse Bride?
I don't know. I don't. That's one I rewatched. I didn't look too much into that one this time around.
Okay. After that, we have Sweeney Todd, his first and only musical, which is
Yep.
kind of a shame. He should make another gothic horror musical. I feel like. I guess Corpse Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas are musicals. And
Oh
then we
yeah.
have Alice in Wonderland, which was first live action Disney remake that he made, first of two. He had Dark Shadows, and then returned to stop motion animation with Frankenweenie, which is actually a recreation of a old short that he made.
That
So
Disney did
kind of,
not let him release, and so it was not shown to the public for I don't even know how many years after they stopped production on that.
yeah, kind of messed up. But Frankenweenie. After that, we had Big Eyes, which I believe doesn't have any of his usual collaborators.
Zero.
Am I right?
Zero of
Yeah.
the huge.
So a bit of a reset for him. After that, we had Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which has Eva Green in it, who was in Dark Shadows. I believe
Yep.
she's also the only collaborator in there.
It's the only one.
Then then Dumbo, and then finishing out the list, we have Beetlejuice, which is his most recent film, and then also the 2 seasons of Wednesday,
Yeah.
which I actually did not get around to seeing for this
That's
list,
okay.
just because.
I figured I'm gonna talk about them anyways. I've included them in
Please,
my
yeah,
rankings and split the seasons because season one is before Beetlejuice, season two is after,
okay,
and I
yeah,
feel like they're very different. But I can give a
for
blurb on
sure,
those for sure.
yeah, go for it.
Oh, just like when the time comes
Oh
of my
yeah,
rankings.
for
They're
sure.
obviously the Adams Family show that wasn't. I mean, he's not as involved as the showrunners, right? But he directed many of the episodes. I feel like he's more involved in season two, low key. But I honestly don't follow the production that much for that show. Although
Yeah.
I was gonna interview Tim Burton for a school assignment, and he got back to me, but we could not line up time zones because he was shooting season two in
No.
Romania, and so this show has stunted our relationshipal growth.
That's too bad.
It is too bad.
Shout out, shout out that potential relationship you
Shout out
could have had with Tim
Romania.
Burton.
Just kidding.
All right, and that is Film Burton's filmography or Tim Burton's filmography.
Film Burton
Very
indeed.
Film Burton indeed. I mean, I I don't know if I've seen a director that has too many more movies than he does. He's really cranked them out. You can tell he really loves what he
21.
does.
Or
Yeah,
20, not including Nightmare, but we're including Nightmare. Because
we're
who
including
wouldn't?
Nightmare.
Stupid
Who wouldn't
YouTubers.
include Nightmare? Come on. But yeah, Tim Burton, amazing guy, really cool, respect him a lot. But it's time to drag his name through the mud a little bit because we are
We're
starting
starting at
off
the
at the
bottom.
bottom. We're starting at the bottom of the list, at the bottom, the trash. But don't worry,
Garbage.
we'll get to the positive stuff sooner than later. So how
I'm
about you start us
very
off, Elliot?
excited. I'm so excited
Yes,
to
me
hear what
too.
you have to say because, again, heads up. And honestly, we're probably going to have a timestamp leading this point for people that want to like skip over the blubbering or whatever. But if you're getting into this now, David and I do not have the same takes. So I cannot
Yes.
wait to hear what you have at your bottom.
And
But
we don't know each other's lists as well.
we
We are
don't.
finding out for the first time here. So
Yeah, this is sick. Okay. So I have 23 entries on
okay.
my list because of the 2 seasons of Wednesday. So this is for me 23. For you, it's like number 21. Yeah.
Yes, we'll figure out a way to balance that
We
out as
will.
we go
So, I
along.
mean,
But
discounting those, this would be number 21 for me. But at number 23,
yes.
I have Mars Attacks.
Oh, okay. All right.
It took me 4 or 5 sittings to get through this one. And it's the only
Yeah.
one that I couldn't get through in 1 or 2. I just found pretty much nothing to engage me in this one, and I don't know if I was just in a bad mood or what, but I did not want to finish the movie. I took notes for most of them. This one, I didn't take too many because I just could not sit down and concentrate. And I have a hard time doing that when I feel like most of the characters are utterly stupid. Like, all of the aliens, I feel like, are really dumb, although they are smarter than all of the human characters who are really, really dumb. And it's just like the aliens come in, they attack the humans, the stupid humans, and then 20 minutes later, it happens again and again and again. And I lost the plot every 15 minutes, I think. So I just did not care about anyone. And then I also feel like we'll get into some of the comedy. I think Tim Burton's really funny. But if you watched this movie alone, I do not think you would think of Tim Burton as a comedic guy. I just did not think most of the jokes landed. And then, for a guy with a ton of practical effects in his movies, there's some horrendous CGI in here. And there's not just a little, there's a lot. And so I feel like a lot of the things I really like about Tim Burton were not here. There's like no score that I feel like was really memorable. There were no characters I could relate to. The CGI was garbage. Like, I did not have a good time watching this one. And I don't know if that would change on a second viewing, but I never plan on watching it again. So we'll probably never know. This is
No,
probably one of the only ones I can say I dislike. Like, dislike.
okay. I Mars Attacks is also one of my lower rated ones. We'll see where that lands on my list in a minute.
I
But
mean,
in my
how do we want to do this? Do we want to go through? Okay, I guess we can get to that later because I wonder like if we bring it up
yeah.
if you want to bring up your score, but let's just do it in order. Let's just do it in order.
Okay, yeah. Okay, my number 21 spot is Alice in Wonderland. I am not a fan of Alice in Wonderland. As a matter of fact, there are a few movies that piss me off more than Alice in Wonderland. I think it features Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp's worst performance. Has one of the ugliest color palettes I've seen in a movie. Some atrocious character design. I mean, freaking Tweedledee and Tweedledum in this movie looks so bad. And they didn't really know what they wanted the CGI to look like when they were filming it. They basically just shot it on a green screen and they were like, we'll figure it out in post. And it has this bizarre post-production CGI look to it that I don't think they planned it out as well as they could have. And I also think that it kind of just misunderstands the point of what Lewis Carroll was doing with the original Alice in Wonderland, which is it's just this girl who is going on a psychedelic trip. She meets a bunch of crazy creatures, a bunch of interesting fellas, and that's kind of it. And this movie feels more like just the typical hero story, the rise, and she has to go and fight a dragon as a knight. And I think it just kind of misses the point of what the original novel was going for. Um, but on top of all those other sins, biggest sin that it commits is this was the movie that kickstarted the animated live action Disney remake, which is maybe the worst trend that's going on in Hollywood right now.
I
And it's
agree.
because this movie made $1 billion+, which is just crazy. I can't believe it made that much money. And so all of those things put together, including that it's kickstarted the Disney live action remake, that it's the bottom spot on my list.
Interesting. So obviously, this is probably the first entry that we're gonna have quite differing opinions on.
Okay.
Not like significantly, but I'm curious. Do we get into this now, or do we get into it when it shows up on my
No, let's
list?
get into it now. Tell me
Okay.
about it.
So I'm gonna reveal where I have this on mine. I'm very curious. I have it at number
Okay.
12.
At number
So
12.
kind of
Okay.
middle of the pack. And honestly, let me pull up some of my notes for here too, because this was one I think I'd only seen one time before. And one thing we can agree on is we despise the live action stuff. For me,
Yes.
like when I'm looking at a live action, I want to know, why did you feel the need to make this live action, or like why did you feel the need to change the source material? Did you did your vision add anything to the original story? And I feel like in most cases it doesn't. How to Train Your Dragon's a recent example of that, where I feel like, I mean, it was so close to the original with like some changes that I feel like I am very frustrated by this, and I know you are too. Lilo Stitch is another one that came out just this year that I
Or
think
Snow
is
White.
Snow White. These just absolute bastardizations of really
Yeah.
great stories. But Alice in Wonderland is one where I feel like I could still see a vision from the director, which, getting into another live action on this list, I do not think was the case. But this is one where I feel like Tim Burton definitely had a take on the story, more or less. And not to, I mean, I don't feel like he changes anything necessarily for the worse. It's definitely like a different view on it, and he throws in a lot of his own spins, kind of like the misfit elements, like not belonging. Something he does a lot is making the real world or the normal world look really, really bland. So I think the hellscape of Wonderland with the drab colors was, it almost was like putting me in Dark Souls, which I think is one of the coolest aesthetics. Now, the issue I have is the CGI. I think it was a
Yeah.
little too early for that amount of, like, the movie is a CGI movie. I feel like they shot the whole thing in front of a green screen and almost looked like the Minecraft movie in a sense, where it was just CGI everywhere. And did you have gripes with the designs? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I do. I
Wow.
hate Helena Bottom Carter's design. I think it just looks so ugly.
I think they're
And I
so
mentioned
funny.
I I guess I could see that, but for me it just is off-putting. I do not look like what these characters look like. And I have never heard this movie be compared to Dark Souls before, so that that
Really?
was a funny take. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think I mean, they don't even call the underworld Underland. They call it, or Wonderland. They call it Underland. And I just kind of
Yeah.
feel like that's a good example of how
Just small
Tim Burton,
changes.
yeah, Tim Burton said that he doesn't even really like the original Alice in
And I can
Wonderland.
tell. I can tell.
Yeah. And I think that goes to say, because I love Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I think it's a
Oh, I
classic,
do
and
too. And honestly, I think the OG story is better than the cartoon by quite a margin as well, though the cartoon is
yeah.
a much more faithful adaptation. But the cartoon does give me the impression that you were saying, where it's a story about a girl that's just kind of encountering things and is
Mhm.
not a victim of circumstance, but she's kind of being driven along by the world. And I mean, there's some aspects of that here too, but I feel like this added more of a theatrical story, which isn't necessarily unique. Like, it's the classic adventure hero's journey,
Yeah.
but it was definitely a different enough take that I don't feel like they were just flat out copying, or that they thought that they were better than the source material.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I I rewatched it for this list, and this was the one that I had the hardest time getting through. And like I said, just for the reason that it started live action remakes, on top of it just being a movie that I don't enjoy watching at all.
I do not think that, I mean, I can't blame this movie for Lilo and Stitch, you know?
Sure,
Like, I
no,
feel like it
I
has
agree
to be
with
put on
that.
its own merits. Because there are other live action things, with, like 101 Dalmatians was a live action remake before this.
That's true. But that was like a one-off,
This
and
was gonna be a one off
it's
too, I
yeah,
think.
no, I agree. I can't blame Tim Burton for what happens,
That should not be a
but
criticism of this movie.
yeah, I just despise this movie for that reason and all the other reasons that I mentioned. I just can't. I will never watch this movie again. Let's just put it
Really?
that way. Yeah, I do not
Huh.
enjoy this one.
Yeah, I think
And
the
this was
beginning's
actually
rough, but I do really think the world is so like I can't think of a world like that.
hmm.
The Dark Souls is literally the closest thing I can put to it because it's just such a strange land, and I think it just from what I'm seeing, it makes me really visually stimulated. I don't know, but the story is easily the weakest part. It is not a great
Yeah,
story.
no, I agree. And I just think the acting is annoying too. Well, Johnny
Really, yeah.
Depp,
You said
you
Johnny
know,
Depp, little Scotty Depp there.
yeah, I really do like Johnny Depp a lot, but he
Yeah.
has a few, at least two, that I can think of, just really awful Tim Burton performances. And we'll get to the what I think the other one is in a minute, but this is one of them. I do not like what he's doing in this movie. I find it just kind of to be obnoxious. And
Oh,
same
I
with Helena
loved
Bottom
it.
Carter. She's just screaming this whole movie, and man, it
So
just gets on
funny,
my
bro.
nerves. It just gets
It
on my
cracked me
nerves,
up. I felt
bro.
like the comedy in here was low key really kind of fun. Also, I'm just gonna go through some of my bullet point notes, little
Okay.
highlights because they don't fit into our conversation. They never will.
Yeah.
But we have the dude that proposes. Looks like the prince from Brave. Um, Alice looks like she was ripped out of the Virgin Suicides movie. She was just like the most dull, bland protagonist ever. That's another gripe I have with it. I
Yeah, I
liked
agree.
Scotty Depp and Alan Rickworm. I think I enjoyed them. Although I probably agree more with Helena Bonham Carter. She screams a little too much, you know.
I agree. Yeah.
CGI bugged me. Jabberwocky specifically looked horrid. It was bad.
Yeah.
Like they have the
And
flashback sequence that looked fine, but in the end, ah,
it's interesting because they had a Christopher Lee voice the Jabberwocky, and I think he only says like maybe one line in the whole movie, maybe two lines. So what was even the point of casting, one of the greatest voices ever
a
to
cameo.
voice
He
the
just
friggin'
wanted to be a cameo.
Jabberwocky? I
But
guess, yeah.
is he better than Bendy Cumberbund Smaug? That's the real
No.
question. He's not.
I like Bendy. I like
We all like
Blueberry
Bendy
Pumpkin
more.
Patch in Smog. Honestly, that
Bendy
was a good time.
Cucumber. Okay, the
Yeah.
last one I have is I'm not on TikTok anymore. I had it the first 3 weeks it was out, but I think it's insufferable, and so there goes half our audience. But also, I am familiar when there's like a TikTok dance that's big, like people around me talk about it, right? Where's
Yeah.
the Mad Hatter? Like that's gonna come back at some point when they set up that he's gonna do this wild dance, and then they throw some CG in there. But that's some of the best looking CG I think when his head's spinning around because it doesn't make me want to vomit. But I think one of these days it's gonna come back via
It might.
TikTok and be reborn
I
because
could see
it
that
really is a
happening for sure.
legendary dance. I think.
Yeah, that's one of the less intolerable parts of the movies for sure. All
Dogging
right,
on
we're
Depp,
moving.
dude. I
Yeah,
loved
I
him in
like
that.
Depp. I am going to be praising Depp a lot in this
You
list,
will,
so
but
I gotta
I'm
throw
curious.
off some
That
shade.
performance is curious. I feel like it's very iconic, especially publicly.
Mm, yeah. All right, what do you have at number 22, my friend?
A Disney live action. It's called Dumbo.
Ooh,
Now,
yeah.
yeah, my roommate actually, I mad respect for the guy, but and honestly, there are some bad movies that I really enjoy. I'm gonna objectively label this as bad, but there are some bad movies that I enjoy just because of kind of the circumstances of my life at the time that I watch them, and so I'm hopefully that's what is up with him. But I honestly went into it kind of like, okay, this is one of the better ones. Maybe this will be good, like open mind, you know.
Yeah.
It was awful though,
Yeah.
and the CGI right off the bat as well was bad. Like you can tell it's more polished, like because technology is more advanced, but it still seems so fake. Especially the opening sequence. I felt like just why you didn't need to make it look so. I guess not bland, but it was too dreamy. If that makes sense, but not in the good like classic practical effect Burton dreamy. This was like some guy in a CGI dungeon thought adding a bunch of muted, like not muted, but like softened, oversaturated colors and stuff would make it look better. I did not like it. I haven't seen the original in a while, so snorting the feather tickled me a little bit. I thought that was funny. Um, do I have any more positives? Oh, the mom. I think there's some sweet moments with the mom, but this is the big thing I have obviously with the CGI movies is that those sweet moments are not theirs. They are someone
Yeah.
else's that was taken to emotionally manipulate the audience. And so, I don't think I can credit this movie for some of those sweet emotional moments. Although there has to be some talent to make it still land in your adaptation, but even then, it's just like, all right, that's kind of surface level. I did notice that both of the penguins are here, Danny DeVito and Colin Farrell, and both of them put in some of the worst performances of their career, which is crazy for Colin Farrell because I think he's one of the best actors, period,
He
living
is.
right now. He's absolutely amazing. Music is fine. I just wanted to formally apologize to everyone in the CGI dungeon that had to work on this movie. I hope they're doing okay physically and emotionally right now. And then I guess the common consensus, it just felt like Burton was phoning it in for this one. I really could not pick out his style necessarily from this one.
Yeah.
Whereas in Alice in Wonderland, I feel like pull Tim Burton out of that, it would have looked very different. It would have been very different. I felt like there was a piece of him in that movie. I did not feel like there was pretty much anything from him in this movie, and I dislike it.
I also dislike it. It's number 19 on my list. So
Okay.
also very low near the bottom. I completely agree with you with what you said that it doesn't feel like a Tim Burton movie at all. And I agree that with Alice in Wonderland, at least you could see Burton's hand in the making of the movie. And it's interesting. This was actually the movie where afterwards Tim Burton said, I am never going to work with Disney again. So it must have been a horrible experience for him working on this
I'm
one.
sure it was.
And I can see why. This is just such a soulless movie, man. And it's interesting. The original Dumbo is only an hour long, not like an hour and 15 minutes, just 60 minutes. And I believe this movie was like an hour and 50 minutes long.
It's too long.
And you can feel them just like stretching it out as much as possible. And you can feel Disney's grimy little hands getting into all the crevices. And it's
Disgusting.
ugly. It's just critically, it's just bankrupts, on a creative level. I don't think it's very funny. Like you said, the acting is terrible, especially some of the kid actors I thought were
Uh,
were particularly bad in this movie.
yeah.
Just a drag to get through, honestly. So I am completely with you on this one being one of the duds. I did
Enough
not like
said.
this movie.
Enough said. No more Dumbo for us.
No more Dumbo
All right. Let's hear number. What?
ever, please. I don't ever hear about this movie ever again. All right.
Yep.
But backtracking a little bit for me, number 20 on my list, I have Planet of the Apes. Uh, so I remember talking with you about this one, and it seems like you kind of liked it in an ironic sort of way, from my understanding. Is that what I heard?
More or less. I mean,
Okay.
where is it on mine? Should I just bring up where it is on mine? It's number
Yeah,
20
sure.
for me.
Okay.
So
So
it's not the next lowest one on my list, but it's the one after.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So my biggest issue with this Planet of the Apes movie is just how uncomfortable it is. I don't know if you felt this way, but there was this strange sexual tone throughout the
Whoa,
whole
okay.
movie.
That one I didn't
Yeah, I
pick
don't
up on
know.
too much.
Okay, I don't know, man. There was like this bizarre sexual chemistry I felt like Mark Wahlberg and the other apes had with one another,
Oh my
and it just
gosh.
made me so
Like
uncomfortable, man.
The Matt Damon looking ape.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was also the Paul Giamatti ape,
Oh,
which I just, man, what
the
is Paul
John
Giamatti
Adams
doing in
ape.
this?
The
The
John
John
Adams ape.
Adams ape,
On my chair.
Abraham Lincoln.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh. What a
yeah,
treasure.
as bad as Mark Wahlberg is in this movie, the standout bad performance for me is Tim Roth. He's like the main villain ape
He's
in
the
the
big
movie.
mean boy.
Yeah, he's the big mean guy. And oh my goodness. I guess I could see some people thinking it was kind of funny, just how hammy and over the top he was. I did not think it was funny. I thought
No.
it was just tedious and annoying, man.
Yeah?
Every second he was on screen, he's like
Go
the most
away.
obnoxiously over the top villain imaginable. And it just drove me up the wall. I could not handle watching Tim Tim Roth's performance in this movie.
Yikes.
And it's not campy in a fun way where you're just kind of like, oh, this is corny, this is silly, this is stupid. It's just campy in a I want to pull out my eyes kind of way and stop watching this immediately. Of all the movies, this was the one that was the toughest for me to
I think this
sit
one took me
through.
2 or 3 sittings as well, maybe two.
Yeah, it took me two sittings. I got about 40 minutes in the first time and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this movie, man. It's interesting because the start of the movie where it's Mark Wahlberg with like the chimp guy, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun, you know.
I have that in
I
my
could
notes
see
too. Yeah.
I could see this being kind of a fun campy film." And as soon as he lands on the actual Planet of the Apes, that was where I was like, "Oh,
Yep.
no. This is brutal." I thought the climactic battle was just kind of bland, kind of boring. And then the stupid twist at the end, man. I by any metric, I don't think that twist makes any any lick of sense. I guess maybe the chimp that he sent at the start of the movie like went back in time and took over the planet somehow, but I don't understand it. I think it's a creative low point for Tim Burton, honestly. I did not like this movie at all. Tell me what you thought about it though.
Yeah. Obviously, this has the acclaimed actor from Daddy's Home 2 and Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, Mark Wahlberg, and he does not care. But low key, the first 15 minutes, I was like, all right, they're trying to rip off 2001. It is in 2001. That's the year this movie came out.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm invested in this guy's relationship with his monkey, which he
Yeah.
immediately forgets about as soon as he lands on the planet.
Mhm.
Um, I think it comes to a screeching halt. You're right. The second they get on there, and every second was really boring. There was a bit where I was like, okay, there's like little nuggets in them there hills that you can pick out, and you're like, oh, the Monkey King is dying. And he's like King Viserys from House of the Dragon. I was like, look, he's a good Monkey King. He has hope for the humans. Except then they reveal, like, as he's dying, that he actually hates the people. And I was like, bruh, you could have had some complexity here. I guess you're just allergic to character development in this movie. But King Viserys Monkey betrayed me. I also thought the religion aspects were kind of weird. They didn't make any sense how they like kept going into the religion stuff until the end. They've got the payoff when our little monkey comes back in his pod. And I was like, you know what? I can appreciate that. And that's, I guess, our biggest difference. You hated the last scene. I freaking loved the last scene. You start off with hands down one of the worst hype speeches I have ever heard in a movie. And then they just get into it, and they've got guys on cables getting launched comedically high from absolutely nothing. And I was on my knees laughing. I thought it was so fun. I feel like, especially with a group of people, holy cow, that is some top tier comedy. And I wonder if that was intentional. Like, it it's too perfect not to be. I feel like, I mean, Tim Burton's a funny guy. There's a lot of comedy that lands in certain things for me, and I feel like this had to have been intentional comedy. I know there's a troubled production here, so probably when they got to this bit, he's like, "Bro, let's just go crazy," and that's exactly what they did.
Mm.
You can skip this movie, but if you want to have a laugh, I feel like the payoff at the end makes it worth. Like, if I ever had a group of friends and we wanted to watch a bad movie, be like, all right, let's put this on. We can talk, play games, whatever, when they're on Monkey Planet. But as soon as they get to those sand dunes, lock in, boys, because this is going to be freaking awesome. It's like Moonfall level stuff. I love the end, but it was not enough to get it very high on my list.
Yeah. I'll also say one positive thing I can say about this movie. Makeup is very impressive. They
Yeah,
did a good job with the makeup. Sometimes it can look a little stiff and it can add to some of the uncomfortable nature of the performances,
absolutely.
but it looks very impressive. So
Yeah,
kudos to the makeup team. They
yeah,
did a good job.
absolutely. I think they won some awards for that as well.
And well deserved. They deserved that. Yeah. All right, what do you have next on the list?
Okay, this is where I have Wednesday season one, and this is actually going to be a
Oh,
really hot take. I
interesting.
rewatched season one after season two, and I wanted to stop halfway through the first episode. Like, I remember not like thoroughly enjoying it, but being interested enough, despite one of the worst story. Not like it is so contrived. It's one of the goofiest like premonition driven stories I've ever seen. But I was invested enough in the acting and the characters, with the exception of Emma Myers, because I don't know if she's a good actress. I haven't seen her in anything that would convince me otherwise, but everything I have seen her in has had middling scripts. All the dialogue she's given in this is pretty bad, so I'm not sure if she's just bad at delivering lines or what. But one thing I did find though is those pitch meeting videos. I feel like they used to be really good, but then now they're a little mundane. But there are some go-tos. There's the Twilight pitch meetings, and then there's Wednesday season one. And I'll
It's
also
pretty bad.
I'd
It's
throw in
pretty
the
good.
Rings of Power. He just brings in like some of the most basic, like flat on character assassinating elements of even the protagonist Wednesday. And I
Uh-huh.
feel like you relate to those right off the bat because they're just so seemingly apparent. Um, the story is a disaster, but I mean, Jenna Ortega is attractive
That's
and has
true.
some very funny lines in there. I think like the writing for like the dialogue for Wednesday is actually really solid.
Mm.
It's just weird some of the little inconsistencies with how she just doesn't seem to admire life at all, or she's like all drab and depressed, but is so fixated on saving people and preventing mass homicide for some reason. It's a little weird that they go on both extremes for comedy's sake, but to a degree where I feel like it messes with character stuff. The counseling scene bored the sequences. There's lots of them. She goes to a counselor. She doesn't want to go there. Bored me to death. The hide stuff is kind of weird. I feel like the CGI is like fun, kind of claymation style, but overall made me kind of uncomfortable. And then I don't understand the things these days where they have like the misfit friends. Today I'm gonna call Wednesdays the mid fit friends because I don't like any of them. They're just boring. So honestly, I don't know if this is a hot take. I think the set design is amazing. I think the costumes are awesome. I think the story sucks. I did not like season one as much, and hot take, I think most of my issues are addressed in season two to some extent. Not a whole lot, but it's pretty low on my list, Loki. Although I,
But season 2 is better.
yeah, this is where I have a line in my notes saying this is right under the line of mid. So everything here and below is kind of it's like pretty bad, but everything above I feel like is getting to that mid level, which is pretty low on a list for director stuff. I think that shows kind of excitement we have to come.
Yeah, I'm still kind of firmly in the it's bad category,
Really?
unfortunately, but we're getting up into the mid. We're
Yeah.
getting there.
We're
Okay,
at
for
bottom mid right
my
now.
yeah, so my 18, I think you basically nailed all the points that I felt. I have Mars Attacks. Just did not find it funny. For such a massive ensemble cast too, I just felt
Oh
like
yeah.
none of the characters had anything to do in the movie.
No.
So
No.
I'll just say I basically just agree with what you said. It's
Yeah.
basically just an unfunny mess. So I'll move to my number 17
Well, real
pick.
quick, I'm curious. What did you hear about Mars Attacks before? Because I heard nothing about it, but I feel like I glanced at some reviews and they were mostly positive.
Hmm. I heard that it was just like Tim Burton's B movie because I had watched Ed Wood already and I
Yeah.
had heard, oh, this is the movie that comes after Ed Wood. And
Really.
it's him like trying to make an Ed Wood type B movie. And I think in that aspect, it mostly fails because Ed Wood
It's
was a
good.
very sincere
Spoiler alert.
filmmaker. Yeah, he made movies that he felt passionate about. And I don't know if that passion really shows through on Mars Attacks. For his early career, 80s and 90s, this is definitely his worst movie from that era
Yeah.
because that era is usually great
Great.
and just like banger after banger. And this movie, I feel like is just it just didn't hit.
Just a
So not
vapid
a
abscess right there in his filmography.
yeah, no
This movie
kidding. Wonder
sucks.
wonder what happened. But for my number 17 pick, I'm curious because I feel like you might like this one. I'm not sure. For 17, I have Dark Shadows.
Hmm.
Um, so I just kind of felt like it was all over the place tonally. You know, did it want to be a scary horror movie? Did it want to be a straight up comedy? I just don't really feel like I knew what the movie wanted to be. It had some really fun moments. But again, I just kind of feel like Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter, this is really where the collaboration just kind of felt old to me, where I was just like, I don't know if I'm messing with this anymore. And it's fitting that there was a break after this movie. And
Yeah.
I looked it up because I was curious, but apparently Johnny Depp and Tim Burton didn't have a falling out. They just chose to quit working with each other for a while. And
Yeah.
Tim Burton said he was up to the idea of collaborating with him again, which I'm actually super down for. I think
Yeah.
that would be awesome if they collaborated again. I just think it was getting a little stale with their collaboration. And yeah, I don't have too much else to say. Like I said, Eva Green was really fun in the movie.
Yeah.
Mostly, I just kind of think this movie is mid. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's not worth watching, I don't think, but has a couple fun scenes, I guess. What did
Yeah.
you think about it?
Well, I think we can hold on to this one because it's close enough up in the list where I feel like we'll get to it in a little
Okay,
bit. We can. I
perfect.
think we can put a pin in that one.
All right,
Um.
sounds good.
So my 17. This might be a hot take, low key. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I'm ready for the vitriol. I have
Oh boy.
Beetlejuice at number
No,
17.
are you
Yeah.
serious? Beetlejuice?
I
Oh, dude. No, you got to be kidding me.
I watched this for the first time last year, and that's probably why. I thought it was one of the
Okay.
most boring, like
Oh,
contrived movie. The one thing I appreciate the most about this, like right off the bat, is the originality. And I know it's not necessarily Tim Burton's story, but I mean, this is when I think of Burton, I think a lot of the aesthetic, the practical effects are so good. The atmosphere it creates is so good. Michael Keaton is so good. However, I don't know. I was bored out of my mind. I feel like it didn't
crazy.
move at a fast enough pace. I thought the story was oddly contrived and like kind of weird, especially the marriage aspects, which carries over into the sequel. Which I was like, it's almost like, did you see Squid Game at all?
Watch Squid Game yet? No.
Anyone out there who's seen Squid Game, there's a detective plot line in season one that everyone hated. And so they felt like it was necessary to not only bring back, but have more of it in seasons 2 and 3. But the marriage stuff I just thought was boring, and I got tired of that pretty quick. I do really like Winona Ryder, like a lot, in this movie. And I thought the music was really good too, but I don't know. This one didn't really click with me that much. And again, we're getting into that category where I don't feel like this is a bad movie by any means. This was kind of middle of the line for me. It's just like the other ones on this list I like more than this. And so that's why it's hard because I don't feel like I have enough to justify this one. I think objectively it's really quality, but subjectively I was not a fan. And I do
Dang,
think the
man.
sequel is better.
That's crazy. That's the first one that I strongly disagree with you on. I
I
won't
I thought you would,
reveal
yeah.
that's a top 5 Burton for me. I
Really?
love Beetlejuice. Yeah, for me it's like when I think of Tim Burton, it's the art,
Mhm.
it's the tone, it's the atmosphere, it's the humor,
Yeah.
it's the like goth kid who is misunderstood by his family. And I feel like Beetlejuice ticks all the boxes in the best way possible. And
Yeah.
when I first saw Beetlejuice, which was actually right before I saw Beetlejuice, the sequel,
The same. Mhm.
I was just kind of blown away by. I love haunted houses. Let me put
I
it
do
this way. I
too.
love going to haunted houses. And this movie felt like just walking through the most fun, imaginative haunted house imaginable. Just like around every corner, there's some crazy new contraption that you didn't see coming. I love the world building. I love the
I think it's a
imagination
little
behind
the
it.
world building I don't think is thought out the best though. Like I'd be
Sure.
curious to watch it with you to go
Mm,
through some of the stuff I feel like that contradicts because I feel like there's a lot of rules that just don't make a lot of sense, but then they
mm.
spend too much time on those instead of just gliding past them, you know?
I could see that. For me, it hardly matters though, just because I'm enjoying it so much.
Yeah.
I enjoy all the different weird little subsets of this universe that it barely phases me. I love Michael Keaton in, the titular role,
That's
even though he's
needless
only
to
in the
say.
movie. Yeah, I mean,
I
iconic
wanted more of
performance.
him though. I feel like he's
Yeah.
not in it nearly enough.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like when he
For a
is
movie
in it,
called
he's just
Beetlejuice,
hilarious. And I also really like Alec Baldwin and his wife's character. I think they're fun.
they are really good, and that is one of my
Um
biggest problems with the sequels that they don't come back.
yeah, I think it's a pity because they're a ton of fun to follow. I don't know, man. It's just is like for me, it's like the ultimate Halloween family comedy movie, and I just get a kick out of it. I've seen it again since I watched it last year, and
Yeah, same.
just reaffirmed in my mind that I really like this movie a lot. So that's too
Yeah,
bad that you're
it
you're a
might
bit
it
middle of
might
the
grow
road
on me
for
a
it.
little bit more, but again, I think, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's just the tone, man. I love the tone of the movie. So we'll get to where that is in
Yeah.
my list here in a minute. But I love Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is one of my favorites. So it's too bad. All right. I'm at 16 now,
Okay.
and I have Miss Peregrine's Home for Gifted Youngsters, I believe is the full title of the movie.
Oh, we skipped
Yeah.
that for me, by the way.
Oh, you.
I had that at 21. That was after Dumbo.
Okay.
So,
All
just in
right.
case you thought I was saving that, I would have you know, it was so forgettable I forgot about it.
Okay. Well, we'll get to your thoughts on it as well,
Oh,
but
frick, I skipped a
mostly
lot of stuff. Holy cow. I skipped
okay.
18 as
Well,
well.
all right. Well, you can get
Just
back to
go
you
into
on
it and we'll
that.
go back. We'll do some catch up.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Miss Peregrine, dang. Uh cool premise, I suppose, but just done in the most lackluster way imaginable. I if you've ever seen any like teen dystopian movie or like teen fantasy movie, you've seen this movie before. It's a lackluster blend of X-Men and Harry Potter. Has some cool sets, has some cool character designs, I suppose. But this just falls into this is just kind of a snooze fest type of a movie. I thought the lead actor, whatever his name was
Mid.
pretty boring. So mid. Yeah, so boring. And I thought Ava Green was good in the movie, but she just wasn't in it enough. She needed to be in the movie more.
I don't understand her
So
character either.
yeah,
Like,
dude, your
what's
your
her
robot voice just
motivations?
came
What?
back.
What?
Your robot voice just
No!
came back. Yeah.
That's okay, though. That's okay
Yeah.
because it's recording on my end.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Um, anyways, what were you saying about Ava Green?
I'm gonna unplug it just in case though.
It's still the robot voice, but
Gosh,
just keep going.
dang it.
That'll be okay.
Um, yeah, hopefully it doesn't sound robot voice on my end. But anyways, yeah, I didn't understand her motivation at all. I
Yeah,
want to know why she put a bunch of kids in a time loop and thought that'd be better for them. Because I don't think she
who
explains
knows,
that.
man?
I have a big problem with that. And I also don't feel like they really address it very much
No.
in the ending.
She just kind of felt one noted, which is a shame because, she's the top billed actress in this movie.
Really.
Yeah, and
That
I
is
felt like
too bad.
she had basically nothing to do with the story.
No, she didn't.
I thought the parents' characters were really annoying.
I hated
Really,
them.
it's the freaking dad. Screw that guy.
Go watch
I
Birds
thought,
somewhere else.
yeah, exactly. I thought the movie looked ugly too. It has
Yep.
this very drab gray look to it, just uninteresting.
Yep.
I thought all the stuff with Samuel Jackson's characters at the end was kind of fun, but they
Yeah.
just didn't do enough with them.
Good
Like,
thing they didn't make his superpower the monkey abilities. That would have been a racism.
yeah, that would have been. And Tim Burton has already dodged some racist allegations in the past, so he doesn't need to go for that again. Ultimately, just a bland movie from my end. Anything you'd like to add?
The one thing I'd like to add, because this is at number 21 for me, is Ella Purnell. Thank you for being there on this movie. I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed looking into your big eyes. That's the name of a movie that's on this list. Oh, I just picked my
That is.
microphone. Yeah, I thought she was fine. She was literally the only character slash actress I feel I cared about outside of Samuel L. Jackson. But they're okay. I wrote this note, and I don't know what it means. And in parentheses says you won't remember what this means because this is a forgettable movie. But it says surprise Samuel L. Techno fight is peak, but you won't remember what that is. And I don't, so I have nothing else to say about that. The last thing I have is they have a reveal at the very end. Like, lots of the kids have these little powers, and one kid is wearing a bag over his head. And at the end, he takes it off, and it's like the Medusa superpower. It turns the bad guys into stone. And I was like, dog, you're telling me you had this the whole time? That thoroughly ruined, like, the whole movie didn't need to happen. Why would you ruin it that bad? I was like, you think even if that was in a book, like, that is a change that is warranted. The movie does not work with that ability. That's so dumb.
Dude, you're
Screw
right.
you for
Hearing
making
you
that and leaving that in. You broke everything.
hearing you talk about this and talking about it myself made me realize that it's probably actually a few slots lower on my own list. I just feel like while I was watching it, I was just kind of neutral on it, and so
Yeah,
I place it more towards the middle. But yeah, not a good movie.
yeah.
Just a misfire from Burton, honestly. So, all right. Well, what else did you
So
have that
I
you
was gonna
skipped
say to
over?
recap, we had 23 Mars Attacks, 22 Dumbo, 21 Peregrine, 20 Planet of the Apes, 19 Wednesday season 1, and then 17 Beetlejuice. We skipped 18, which for me was Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Okay.
The first 20 minutes felt like scrolling through reels, and I hate scrolling through reels. I do not do them. And I think that was the equivalent at that time, where it was just joke after joke of just child humor that did not land. And
Mhm.
his laugh that was repeated so many times. Our good friend Todd, who, shout out to Todd,
Shout out
greatest guy
Todd.
ever, but he showed me a movie that I very much did not enjoy, which was Beavis and Butthead something the
Oh man.
movie, where they just make weird mouth noises the entire time, over an hour. And he does this like insufferable laugh the whole movie. And I thought this is going to be so hard to get through. But the reason this made it into the realm of mid starts with one woman. One woman changed the tide. And her name is Large Marge.
Large
As
Marge,
a
dude.
child, my dad showed me the Large Marge scene, and it traumatized me immediately. And I loved it to the point where I started to love it. Just like the head canon of that scene. And I was the happiest lad of all time. I think last week when I watched it, when she showed up, I was like, I freaking love this scene. And right after that point, the comedy started to land. There are genuinely some really funny jokes in here. Once they get past like the immature kind of other jokes, one of my favorites is dude is knocked out. They like shake him and they're like, Pee-wee, Pee-wee, do you remember anything? And he's like, I remember the Alamo. And they'll go, and I was like, bro, that's actually so funny. I love that. Or when they're just watching the sunrise in the T-Rex mouth, I was like, this is the most random thing ever. I love it. And Loki, the character that he's with, like the lady that wants to explore the world and learn French, I just loved her. Like when she shows up again later in the movie, I was like, Loki, welcome back. I appreciate you and the relationship you have with this guy. And I feel like it's kind of funny that it ties into the main love interest that he has, who honestly isn't that compelling of a character. Like the whole leading premise, his bike gets stolen, he's trying to find it. It's boring, it's kind of lame. The end, how that's resolved, sucks. But then they have a moment that is done way better in another movie in my top 3, where all of the characters from the movie all assemble again. They're at the end. And it's low-key kind of heartwarming as they sit at the drive-in and watch the Hollywood rendition of his adventures, which again was another joke I found really funny with the
That was really
bikers.
funny.
So honestly, the first 15 minutes is so weird. It's like it does not feel like the same movie. And then there's still a lot of jokes that I don't feel like land, but even talking about this right now, I'm like, this is at my number 18 spot, and I feel like I have a lot of fairly positive things to say about Pee-wee. I don't know how you feel about it. It's definitely not near the top, but
Yeah. It's funny you brought it up because that's my number 15 spot
okay.
is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So that's my next one. And I get that it was a huge deal for a lot of people, but I kind of, like you said, found the shtick a little annoying, his laugh especially. But I love Large Marge. Shout
Oh,
out Large
shout
Marge.
out my girl.
Yeah, so it was one of those movies where I think it was like 1 in 3 jokes
Yeah,
made me laugh, and then the other 2 or 3, like, kind of made me curl up inside a little.
but the ones that
Just like
made me laugh like genuinely.
yeah, like that joke at the end where they recreated the movie, the Hollywood version, I thought
Oh,
that was hilarious.
oh,
Uh, and did you see that they added Pee-wee's Big Adventure to the Criterion Collection? Have you seen that?
oh,
They just added that, so
lovely.
shout out Pee-wee's Big Adventure for being in the Criterion
Welcome
Collection,
to
I
the
guess,
club,
but
I guess.
welcome to the club. I basically just agree with everything you just said, though, so,
Awesome.
yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is my number 15.
Yep.
You
It's
do another one, though,
great for
since
the
you're a little
clips,
bit
not for the
behind.
movies. So
Yeah,
17 obviously was Beetlejuice. Going to 16. This might be a hot take as well. I have the
okay.
original Batman at number
Oh,
16.
okay. Interesting, yeah.
Um, Honestly, this was the first time I'd ever seen it, which is weird. Because
Yeah.
I've seen Batman and Robin 3 or 4 times, but I've never seen this movie. And here's the thing, it's not bad. I don't think
No.
it's just at that point in my list where it's like, I really like some of the other stuff in here. So I guess it is hilarious to think that this is the bridge between Adam West and Christopher Nolan. Like this is
Yeah.
where it starts. And it's just such an awkward place to be, but I also
Yeah.
kind of love it. And for a movie called Batman, I mean, we have the same thing with Beetlejuice and Miss Peregrine. Title character
Mhm.
ain't in the movie that much, and low-key it ain't
No,
about them.
no.
Gotham, this is where we start to get a genuinely awesome aesthetic for Gotham. I think Gotham
Yeah.
City is one of the coolest ideas, and this is where you start to really realize that. Um, I like Gotham better in Batman and Robin, which is a garbage movie, but low key, I love Batman and Robin. I think it's hilarious, and I love the villains, and that is another thing that I think another trend that this movie starts is it really focuses on the villain. This feels like
Mhm.
Jack Nicholson's movie more than it feels Batman's movie.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
Jack Nicholson is
Yeah,
top billed in this movie over Michael Keaton. It's
yeah.
bizarre.
Well, I mean, I think he deserves it because he has way more time and he puts in a way better performance.
Mhm.
Um, I'm way more invested in him and his absolutely ridiculous plan to poison all of the things, which I thought was
Yeah.
really dumb. And I think it's really dumb how Batman figures that out. So they took like the dumb plans from the original and they make it more grounded, which kind of makes the dumb plans stick out a little more for me.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see. The thing is, we talk about how Heath Ledger carries the Dark Knight, but I think a lot of time we forget about his relationship with Batman in that movie and how much Christian Bale's Batman is a really good character in that movie. And the
Mhm.
relationship that they have is really good. And though Heath Ledger's is like the one everyone talks about, it is Batman's movie like equally. They're both really good. In this one, the scale is tipped way farther in the Joker's scale. Like I did not care about Batman. That well, I kind of do, but I don't care for his love interest at all. And I also was not the biggest fan of, I guess, how he carries things out. Like he just flat out murders a bunch of people in a building. Like I don't care that he doesn't have the not killing rule quite yet, but he just
Mhm.
kind of recklessly kills a lot of people, which I thought was a little frustrating. I'm like, you're kind of the hero here, but I don't really think of you as the hero. So those are some kind of petty issues that I have with it. Um, but honestly, I was kind of bored throughout it, and I think some of the fantastical elements are not fantastical enough quite yet.
Hmm. You know, I have this movie at number 11, so I think I liked it a little bit more than you, but I
Yeah,
agree with the main criticisms. I thought Michael Keaton was pretty good as Batman. I don't think
he's
he's like
fine.
great or anything, but I thought he was pretty good. One of my biggest issues I actually have with the movie, maybe this is going to get me in hot water, but I was not the biggest fan of the Prince music in it. Thought it
I think
had a
it's fun.
strange, it added a strange tone
Yeah,
to it, but
the
I
Danny Elfman
love
music though.
incredible, phenomenal. Love the score. Best Batman theme easily, I
Yeah,
think. Like
yeah.
the Robert Pattinson one is good too. But
Bum 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 bum.
yeah, but the Danny Elfman score, man, this might be
Oh,
Danny Elfman's best score ever. It is so
ooh,
fire. And the production design is on point. It's fantastic. I really like Jack Nicholson in the movie, even though he kind of takes too much of the screen time. I thought the action was kind of bland, kind of kind of boring.
yeah,
Looks very stiff. Him not being able to move his neck really
yeah,
gets distracting. But overall, I thought it was fun.
yeah,
Like a relatively good time. Not one of his best. That's
yeah.
why I put it at number 11. So, yeah.
Okay, moving a little quickly here. We're going to number 15 real quick. So I'll spend less time on this one because this is Wednesday season 2 for me.
Okay.
I just like the characters so much more in season 2. Shout out Uncle Fester, Fred Armisen. Comes back in season 2 and he's low key way better. And I hear they're making a spin off show with him, and I would absolutely love it. Then there's this new girl called Agnes, played by what's her name, Evie Templeton. I don't think she's in anything else, but low key one of my favorite characters. Funny enough, favorite interaction is with Fred Armisen Fester, which is a scene I think everyone should watch. She's like this invisible stalker that follows around Wednesday and becomes like a main character. But one of my favorite bits is they have like a claymation sequence, like classic Tim Burton, about this guy that like is dying, so he replaces his heart with like a clockwork heart, like, and then he gets buried, and then he gets resurrected as a zombie by I'm forgetting that, because honestly I'm pretty new to Addams Family. I've just recently started watching for the first time the OG show, but like
Yeah.
her little brother resurrects this zombie and like brings him back to life, and he calls him Slurp, and it's like one of the most Burton-esque things I've ever seen. So, and then Steve Buscemi plays the principal.
Oh,
One of the,
dude, no
it
way.
I absolutely love every scene that he's in. So honestly, as per the tradition of season 1, the story is absolute garbage. It doesn't make any sense, and it sucks. However, I love all of the characters more than most characters on this list, and I feel like there's many of them, which is very
Mhm.
impressive.
Yeah.
And I think most people like it less than season 1, and it just shocks me. I did not
Mm.
understand. I guess I just wasn't there for season 1 when it was going on. But yeah, I loved I loved it more or less. I was really really fond of it. Now that is one I've only seen
Nice.
once because that was the first thing that I watched in our little rewatch. But shout out Wednesday season 2. It's underrated and it's a lot darker than the first one. I feel like a lot more grisly, which is a good thing.
Nice. I still need to watch Wednesday, but I love Steve Buscemi, so I
Oh
that
yeah.
makes me want to see it even more.
So Big Fish, right? Big Fish 2000 what 3 is the first time he
Yes.
worked with Tim Burton, and I guess he came back. So good
That's
news.
awesome, and he was one of my favorite characters in Big Fish, but we'll talk about that
Yeah.
in a little bit.
So
I really like
we've
Steve
passed
Buscemi.
all of my Wednesday stuff. What did you go through? What was the one you talked about last? What number was it?
I talked about 15 last, which was Pee Wee, so I'm on 14.
Okay, I'm also on 14.
All right, well I could go if
Go
you
for
want.
it.
So in my 14th place, I have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Hmm.
Um, so like I mentioned earlier at the start, this was the first Tim Burton movie I ever saw. And
Hmm.
rewatching it was an interesting experience. Kind of got me nostalgic, but absolutely loved the production design. Some really awesome production design in this, especially like the TV stuff towards the end. Really dope. Some of the songs were nostalgic for me, so they kind of slapped.
Yeah.
And I'd say the majority of the supporting cast is very solid.
Yeah.
So overall, I do like the movie. There's just one big thing that takes it back for me, and
Let's
that's
hear it.
Johnny Depp's.
Frick you.
Johnny Depp's performance. I did not like him in this movie. I thought he was super annoying. People are gonna think that I just hate Johnny Depp, which is not true. He has some great
It's true.
performances in
You
this
hate
list.
him.
No, it's not.
You
I like
cretin.
him. I just think he's really bad in this movie.
Yikes.
I thought his performance was really kind of just tedious to sit through, which is a pretty big deal because, he's
Really?
kind of like the most important character in this movie. It's interesting because the original movie was called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but the story really revolved around Charlie. In this movie, it's called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but apart from the first act, the movie really just revolves around Willy Wonka. I thought the stuff with his dad was sweet. Shout out Christopher Lee again. He was awesome in this movie. Um, so lots of stuff to really like about this one. I just think that the Johnny Depp is annoying, so it drops it down a few spots on my list.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Number 14, I have Beetlejuice, the
Okay.
second one.
Interesting.
So most of the issues I have with the first one honestly kind of carry over. I think the story, like the rules of the universe just don't make sense to me. And that's something I'm very fixated on. I want things to make sense when I'm
Sure.
watching a movie, which is hard to do for a very fantastical kind of dark fantasy
Mm,
director. However, I still feel like it could have been a little better. Um, Honestly, I'm very sad the original couple didn't return. I think it's a
yeah.
bit of a missed opportunity. Although I do feel like that's somewhat balanced out by Jenna Ortega who comes in. I feel like she was an interesting enough character. I do really appreciate honestly the ghost twist. I don't know if you saw that coming. I You didn't?
No, I didn't.
I I had a small inkling, but it was enough to catch me off guard.
Uh huh.
But that's good because like they set it up more or less,
Yes.
and when you go back and rewatch it, so I thought that was like a cool enough turn of events. I feel like Beetlejuice is in this movie a little more, so I like that. Another issue is that there's too much going on, but
Yeah.
honestly, I do prefer that over not enough going on.
Hmm.
When neither makes sense to me, I would take the more things and be less bored. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like the set design is still good. The CGI is better, but that's just because it's later in time. Like that's not
Yeah.
to ding the original for having bad CGI necessarily. Um, I also really like Willem Dafoe. I thought he was fun.
Yeah.
And then Winona Ryder, I think her character gets more to work with here, and I do appreciate that more than season, or not season 1, but the first Beetlejuice. I like her, what they do with her character more in this one. I feel like she gets better developed in
Okay.
this one. So I don't have a lot to say with it. This one's still kind of mid for me, but
Okay.
I do enjoy it, and the music is still really good. So,
Cool. All right. My 13th place, I have Big Eyes. Big
mm,
Eyes. Big Eyes does three things really well, in my opinion. It is a beautiful to look at movie. I thought it was lit very well. Like every scene just looks gorgeous. Second, really liked Amy Adams in the lead role.
didn't
Thought
she
she was
win
great.
an Academy Award for this?
I don't
Think
think
she?
so. She
I thought
hasn't
she
won
did.
any Academy Award.
Did
I'm
she
pretty
not?
sure she's still been snuffed.
Hold on.
I thought she was very good in the lead role. And third, I'd say the story is fascinating. So, for those of you who don't know, it's the story about this woman who paints pictures of kids with very, very big eyes. And this is a true story. And
Yeah.
it's the story of how her husband basically took credit for painting all the paintings and sold them as his own piece of art and all the chaos that ensues. It's very fascinating. That said, I think the screenplay could use some work. The first act of the movie I thought was really good. Slowly unveils the story of it, introduces Christopher Waltz's character. But I feel like it just doesn't have too much to say about the actual subject at hand. It tells the story, feels a little bit like a Wikipedia biopic, in my opinion. I wish the movie dared to ask more interesting questions. I wish it told us a little bit more about the people that it showed. And Christoph Waltz, who I am usually a big fan of, I just thought wasn't that good in this movie. I thought he
Really?
was a little hammy.
You're
Yeah.
wrong.
So I'm wrong, apparently.
You are.
Shea Frillis just barely dropped a YouTube video on Tim Burton Ranked, and he said that the
Oh,
ending
you're
court
taking in
case.
other people's opinions
No,
here.
no. I just liked this one thing that he
Sheep.
said. I thought it was funny. He said that the ending court scene reminded him of Joker Fully Adieu,
Yep.
and I thought that
Yep.
was funny.
Mr.
and I
Puddles. That
and
movie's the worst.
shout out Joker Fully
I
Adieu.
have
Uh
PTSD.
just and watching it after I had heard that, I was like, oh my goodness, it is Joker Fully Adieu. So I thought that
It
was a little
literally
funny.
is.
But I did like the movie. Okay. I feel like it could have been a little bit better, but I thought it was good.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, honestly, we can get into. Oh, I'll talk about that one. That actually is considerably higher up my list.
Okay.
Um, Next I have Batman Returns. This is my favorite Gotham aesthetic outside of Batman and Robin, which shout out again, Arnie Freeze and Poison Ivy,
Poison Ivy.
that I already know. Hey,
Fantastic
baby.
movie.
But we have a challenger in the arena, Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman. Holy cow.
Dude,
She's
she's
nice.
pretty fine in this movie,
She's
that's for
fine as
sure.
wine. I love how much more ridiculous this is. I feel like it brings in a lot of like the exaggerated villains, and it brings in like the ensemble villains because there's so many Batman villains, and I feel like some of my favorite Batman movies have multiple villains at once. Like even Dark Knight
Yeah.
has Two-Face and Joker, and both of them are really good. So and then Penguin and Riddler obviously in what's it called with Robert Pattinson, the Batman.
The Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really do like Batman Returns. First, Danny DeVito Penguin is iconic. Like, think of
So good, man.
every live action rendition of the Penguin we've had has been really, really good. Shout out to HBO's The Penguin. That I liked better than the Batman. I feel like it fleshed out Gotham more. And I feel like it's the Penguin City. Like, it is crucial to that universe, and it is so good. And literally only Danny DeVito could rival that. I don't like him as much as Colin Farrell necessarily, because I just feel like they nailed the character aspects of Colin Farrell's. The writing's tighter, but I love the aesthetic and the performance we get from Danny DeVito, and it makes this movie so fun to watch. And you do feel bad for the guy. Like,
Yeah.
this, more than the other Batman, which is what I'm mostly comparing it to, brings in some pretty real emotion. into into the character and into the story, which I really appreciated. It's also kind of a Christmas movie, which is another theme you'll see in some Tim Burton stuff. Likes to add some Christmas to his stuff, and I really thought that was fun. This would be a fun Christmas time watch. The villain's name is Max Shrek. Think of a
Dude,
better name. I dare you. You
that's
can't.
it's impossible. Max Shrek, dude.
Max Shrek is peak. Um, but yeah, I think it's a very entertaining, very fun watch. We talked about the romance of the first one. This one you get some Catwoman Batman romance, and I just enjoy that way more. I think in pretty much every way I enjoy this more than his first Batman movie. So maybe he took some notes, and one upped it. But and this is stylistically way more Burton, I feel,
Yeah,
as well. You get more of Batman, more or less. I just really I have a good time with this one.
I agree. I really like Batman Returns. It's a great one. It's also a little bit higher up on my list. So agree with everything you said. It might be Danny DeVito's best performance.
Yeah,
What do you think? Do you think
yeah,
Danny DeVito
I
has a
give
better
him that.
performance?
Yeah,
Maybe Matilda. I really like him in Matilda too, but this is just iconic
I
performance
think
from
this
him.
is
Love
better
that.
than Matilda. I do.
I agree actually. The more I think about it, he has a lot more to do in this movie, but okay. My number 12 is Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Um, you mentioned screenplay is just a big old mess.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff going on,
Yep.
but big old fun mess, I'd say. Had a huge smile on my face the whole time I was watching this movie. Michael Keaton is just as energetic as he was in the first movie, which is impressive
Yeah.
considering he's significantly older, you know. You mentioned Danny or Willem Dafoe, who's awesome as like this cop who used to be a movie star guy. I think he's super fun. Really, the first hour of the movie, I think, is not very good. But the second half of the movie, the second hour, is so much fun and so creative. And everything I love about the original Beetlejuice
Yeah.
movie that it makes up for it. Like, especially that final wedding scene, the church
I
scene
like
where
that
they're all
one
singing and
more than the
it's
original.
so fun, man. I love that scene. So mess, but a fun mess. That's my thoughts on Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
moving on to number 12, and honestly, I don't know if you've experienced this yet during our recording today, but I would probably place this one just a little bit different. I didn't
Yeah.
realize how high I had Alice in Wonderland up here. Um,
Oh yeah.
I just judging how fond I've been of some of these other movies, I'm like, I don't have that many good things to say about this one compared to Batman Returns. But I think a
Yeah.
large part has to do with just the world building, more or less.
Mhm.
Like the CGI is bad, but it is a world that I don't think I've ever seen before. Like the
Mm.
feeling that I get viewing and imagining myself there is like creativity to the max, more so than almost any of the other, I guess, Tim Burton worlds on here. Like there's a few exceptions, but like the Wonderland that he made in all its differences from the other Wonderland, I think is really unique and something really special. And I love trying to imagine myself and what it would look like if the CGI was better. Like, or
Yeah.
if they did some of those things practically, but even then, I still feel like some of the shots are really pretty. There were multiple times where it's like, I feel like I could take a screenshot and this would be a dope wallpaper. So, and that is by far my biggest praise for the movie because again, the protagonist is shockingly mid.
Mhm.
Not that she isn't in some of the other stuff, but I feel like she has less to grow with. Coming to grips with her being the chosen one, I don't really care as much as I think. I love the kind of chaotic nature of Johnny Depp in this movie, and I feel like he
Mhm.
does a different enough performance from the original Man or Mad Hatter to make it his own thing. And that again is what I appreciate about this. It's taking a story and is putting a completely different take on it in a way that's not cannibalizing the original, but it's just a different perspective of it. And I feel like it could have been executed a lot better, and that's why like I don't think it should be number 12 up here, but it's definitely I do like it quite a bit more than you. I That's one where I got through in one sitting and I thought, "You know what?
Yeah.
This is kind of a good time."
Yeah, I mean, I strongly disagree with you.
Yeah.
I don't like the movie. I think it's an ugly mess, but I can respect that, and I can respect you thinking that 12 is too high for it because
Oh yeah.
I'd agree. These
At
are the
least
movies that I'm
Batman Returns, dude. I was like, what? I just praised that movie, and now we're getting to Alice in Wonderland. I don't. Must have been
yeah,
like a misfire on here. I actually did one of those
yeah.
ranking like head-to-head simulators, which helped me with some of those. So I wonder if
Mm.
I wonder what I did there, but maybe slotted in at 15, 16.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say now, these are all the movies that I starting with like Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
These are the movies that I genuinely really like a lot. Like I
yeah.
watch and I'm like, oh yeah, Tim Burton is great. So we're out of the mid Tim Burton movies. We're into the very good ones.
I have
And
one more mid movie on my list.
okay, you have one more mid movie. My number 11, we've already talked about. I've kind of shared my thoughts already. That's Batman. So go ahead and share whatever you had next. That's my number 11 is Batman.
My number 11 is Dark Shadows. I thought the set
Okay.
design was really, really good after the CGI opening. So the opening
Mhm.
CGI, and I was like, and then it goes into Practical Mansion. I was like, hey, Timmy boy, bringing it back. Okay, also, the Fishing Town with Christopher Lee's cameo. I was like, dude, that's flat out Kloak. There it is. It's Kloak, Alaska, or the fishing
Dude,
hamlet from Bloodborne.
shout out
I
Kloak,
shout out
Alaska,
Kloak,
bro.
Alaska. All our listeners from Kloak, Alaska, we want you on the show, okay? In
Please
fact,
hit us
next
up, man.
episode should be filmed in Kloak. I'm just kidding. I ain't flying all the way out there, even for Big Daddy's Pizza. But um, I thought every interaction with Chloe Grace Moretz. I
Uh-huh.
always see the last name, and I'm like, I want to say Mortez, but it's not. I thought they're super funny. This is one where I was kind of dreading going into it, but I thought the comedy was pretty dang. A lot like Pee Wee, where there were some high highs, but still a lot of misses. Like there were a
Yeah.
lot more jokes in this than there are in most of the other movies, but the ones that landed, I feel like landed pretty well. Um,
Uh-huh.
the hippie scene is freaking peak.
I did
So
like the hippie
she's
scene.
like, yeah, you need to go and you need to, spend time with other people. So he joins like a hippie commune. And I've totally spent time around people like that, like live in a van. And he's just saying stuff. They're like, bro, it's so deep. And he's like, yeah, it is. I'm going to have to kill all of you now. And they're like, what? It's so funny. You are absolutely right. The story is nonsense, including probably one of the biggest issues I have with the story is the witch. I think her motivation does not make a lot of sense. Like she's having a, and again, this is one where I was like, I don't know the source material. Most of Tim Burton's stuff are heavily based on source material, which I'm not familiar with here.
Mhm.
However, I do think that it could have used a rework a little bit. I would have liked to sympathize with the witch a little bit more instead of her being a mega simp.
Yeah.
Her motivations are weird, and I think the sus scene definitely inspired all of Robert Eggers' Nosferatu as well. Um,
Are you a Robert Eggers Nosferatu fan?
Not really. I mean, I
Okay.
appreciate it for what it is, but I think it's gross.
Fair
Even
enough.
like I had to watch some of it freaking edit it, like fast forward skip stuff because I was not a fan of how gross it seemed to be. So,
It is a pretty gross movie. I like that one a lot though.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Dark Shadows. I was kind of mid on it. Glad you liked it a
I
little bit
liked it.
more.
Yeah, I liked it more than I thought it would. Still, again, like this is the end of my mid category, but
Okay.
I thought the atmosphere and aesthetic was cool.
Nice. Okay. My number 10 pick is Sweeney Todd.
Same.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
no way. Okay, this is the first time we've matched up then.
Yeah.
Um, I really like Sweeney Todd.
I did too.
Um, well, first off, you gotta praise the production design. So sick.
Might be my favorite of Tim
It's
Burton.
so good. I love it. So eerie and kind of just makes me think, man, maybe Tim Burton should always just be making gothic
Yeah.
uh musicals because it just
No.
this is what he was made to do, man. He was made to make movies like this. I thought Johnny Depp was incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
He was nominated for an Oscar
Good.
and well deserved because he's fantastic. Really liked what he was able to do with the character. He had this menacing stare,
Yeah.
and it looks like he's staring into your soul, and it was great. I also thought that he was pretty good on the singing front. Like, obviously not professional, but I thought he did a
Isn't
good
he in a
job.
band though?
I'm not sure.
I think he is.
Um, but either way, I thought he did a good job on the singing front. Same with Helena Bonham Carter. I thought she was very good in the movie. My favorite guy was the judge, played by who's he
Alan
played by?
Rickman.
Alan Rickman. Yes, and so good. Alan Rickman, every time he shows up, just makes me a happy man. He's such a great actor and got one of the best voices ever too. Um, but I loved the tone,
Oh
loved
yeah.
the atmosphere. I'm not gonna lie, maybe this is gonna get me some heat, but I think the music is just kind of okay. I wasn't the biggest fan of it,
You're
but
wrong.
overall, I'm wrong. Apparently, yeah,
Yes,
I'm
we'll
willing to
get to
admit
why
that.
you're wrong later. Okay.
Okay, I like it. It's a good movie, tons of fun, great atmosphere, freaky, bloody, good
Oh
old
yeah,
time. I enjoyed it.
dude.
Great movie.
The razor scene, loved it. So here's
Yeah.
the thing. I agree with everything you said except for one thing, and that puts this out of my top 5. The
Okay.
music was insufferable. Kill
Okay.
me,
Yeah.
theater kids. Kill me. Come at me. I can take on all of you. It's awful.
Okay.
There's not a single song in this movie that is
Okay.
good. There's not one. I would never. You could not pay me. Well, you could. 15 an hour. No, you couldn't. $15 a song. Okay? I wanted them to stop singing. Like, I wanted a version of this movie with no songs, because this is
Yeah.
probably the only one where the music made the movie worse. I mean, I'm sure you felt the same way about, we referenced Joker 2 earlier, where it's like, all right,
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix, please stop singing. I want to die. Um, that hit me within 3 minutes when they're on the boat. And I think the mixing is weird with that song too, because honestly,
Yeah.
that one I was like, Johnny Depp, you're so bad at singing. And then later in the movie, like literally the next song, I was like, wait a second, no, you're not. What was up with that first scene on the boat? Like, why did you just sound really bad? Yeah, I did not like the music at all, and that really hurt my enjoyment of the film. It would have
Yeah.
been much higher on my list, because honestly, the ending, this might be my favorite ending outside of my number
Toto,
one,
man.
or maybe
I
there's 2 others I'd put above this. We'll get to those later. This is my third favorite ending. Caught me off guard. It was beautiful. It was thematic. It was awesome. I love this movie. Please make a non-musical version for me.
dude, it sucked because I was like, man, I've heard that the music in this movie is good, but I just wasn't vibing with it at all. So I'm glad that I have a kindred
Yeah.
spirit. I was worried that you were gonna bash me on my taste in the
No.
music for it.
Don't get me
So,
wrong. I'm not a hater on musicals. I like
Me
Wicked.
neither.
I like Phantom of the Opera, Newsies, Music Man. I can't say I actively just listen to musicals. And honestly, there's a ton of musicals that I think are just, the Evan Hansen one people play?
Oh yeah.
Genuinely not a fan. And there's some others
Yeah.
like that where I'm like, okay, they're just talking with words. Even this last summer, I went through all of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The most notorious episode the only one I knew of going into the show was the musical episode. And I hated it. I could barely sit through it. Because none of the songs are catchy and no one can sing. And that's exactly how I felt when I watched this. And it is too bad. I would love, like you said, to see kind of a gothic horror like this with just the drab colors. Reminded me a lot of the Nosferatu design, where it's like the
Yeah.
blood and like that is so saturated where everything else is desaturated. It just stands out in the most grotesque and beautiful way.
Man, it looks so good. The
And
blood in this movie
the
just
furnace at the
pops,
end,
man.
the furnace and the blood, it adds so much color for that final sequence, and it is chilling and awesome. But goodness gracious, stop singing, please.
I didn't like any of the songs. The whole like Worst Pies in London song, or the song where they were talking about, oh, wouldn't it be great if we cooked the priest into this pie? I didn't like that song at all. And
No, stop
um
singing.
yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Okay. My number 9, I have Batman Returns. I like the first Batman movie, okay. I was messing with this movie a lot more. On one hand, I think if anything, Batman is still kind of the weakest main character in this movie. Because I so much prefer Catwoman and the Penguin. I think both of them are such
Yeah,
interesting characters. I love the Penguin though. The Penguin is definitely the standout. I love the part where he attaches missiles or rockets to the penguins, and his plan is just so ridiculous, but it fits the tone of this world that he's created so well that I think it works better than like the Joker's plan. This movie feels a lot more silly in its tone,
yeah,
but also in kind of like the Sweeney Todd way, where it's the the dramatic elements kind of heighten the tragedy of it all, and it feels like such a great gothic horror comedy thing that I just am kind of obsessed with the tone of this movie. It's awesome. Love Batman Returns. So great
big
movie.
time.
That's my number 9 pick.
My number 9 is Big Eyes.
Okay.
I never delved into the drama world too much of Tim Burton, but this is one that was like, okay, you've taken a story that I'm not necessarily interested in. Like I think it's a cool idea, but you've made me interested. You've told it in a way
Yeah.
that I think is really good. They pull off the BYU wedding within 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
She shows up, she's like, "Let's get married," and then they do, and I cringed. Um, Now, interesting enough, we're gonna get to Big Fish later, but I feel like this is the yin to Big Fish's yang, like the
Yeah.
inverse of the negative effects that falsehoods and lies can have. Whereas Big Fish isn't necessarily about falsehoods and lies, but like I guess tall tales in more of a sense. This is like the dangerous or the negative effects of that. And I thought that was a very interesting insight to see Tim Burton's takes on how, I mean, even if the goal is for the greater good, how telling things a little different than they truly are can really hurt things. Whereas Big Fish is how they can actually improve things as well. So there's like two sides
That's a
of that
good point.
coins. And I thought that honestly, looking at it at that lens, which it hit me probably 45 minutes in, halfway in, just how kind of cool that was. And aside from, or no, the acting, I wrote asides. I think the acting is really, really good on both ends. Even Christoph Waltz, I thought was really, really good. I did see Amy Adams got a Golden Globe, Best
Okay.
Actress for this. So
Nice.
honestly, I
Well
would,
deserved. Well
yeah.
deserved.
He scared me though. Like I thought he was very intimidating and just gross and disgusting. He did not make me feel good. And so I really, really enjoyed his performance. The ending, I this is another ending. It's not as good as Sweeney Todd, but it's like the courtroom scene's really good, and it's right to the point, and then it just ends. Like it doesn't linger. They didn't overstay its welcome. Like it was a solid conclusion, and they knew when to stop, and I appreciated that quite a bit. Um,
Yeah.
and I think the way that they handled the ending was really cool. Kristen Ritter, awesome. This was right after Breaking Bad, but I think before Jessica Jones. So she a baddie. Tim Burton knows how to find his
Yeah,
baddies.
for sure.
I wish she was in the movie more because I really liked when she was in it. And obviously, there's the one scene where she gets kicked out by Christoph Waltz, and I feel like judging by who she was portrayed to be, she would have taken a little more. I mean, for a movie about kind of the affirmative action that women should be taking when confronted with some of like guys overstepping their boundaries, I feel like she did a disservice to that theme by really not doing a whole lot. Um, I
Just
think a
kind of
lot of the
stepping out.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, she was just kind of there where I feel like she was portrayed initially to be like a good friend. And I don't know if that's how it actually was and that was the intention, but I yeah, I wish we had more of her. The music was mid. I didn't notice much from it. The period piece aesthetic was kind of cool, but again,
Yeah.
it wasn't anything crazy for set design. And then I guess lastly, the Burton style. Again, if you take away Tim Burton, what does this movie lose necessarily in terms of the style elements? And I don't personally feel like it loses that much. And
You
so,
know,
yeah.
well, you say that, and I agree with you in that it's not like his typical gothic macabre like style, but I thought the movie was very well shot.
Yeah,
It has
which
like a beautiful
honestly is a
50s
little
sheen
different
to it.
than
Yeah.
his style. Typically, he loves a big wide 21 lens. I feel like
Yeah.
this one it got you a little more in with the character. So it was shot differently. Like it was not that his vision was lacking, but that it was different. But that being said, it just doesn't stand out to me as much as some of his other stuff might.
I mean, I agree. It's not my favorite Tim Burton, but I thought it was definitely worth watching. Like if
Yeah,
you haven't seen it,
that's why
definitely check it
it's
out.
number 9 on my list for sure.
Yeah,
Check
for
it out.
sure.
Give it a look.
Okay, number 8 for me, hit the first stop motion animated movie on this list, and a movie that I really enjoyed watching. We have Frankenweenie.
Woo!
Yeah, based off of his classic, well, not classic, but based off of his original short film that he made for Disney that they didn't air that we talked about earlier.
Hmm.
I thought this was delightful.
Yeah,
Definitely an ode to classic horror movies. Really enjoyed the animation, obviously. Thought the animation was stunning, especially the character design. So many amazing character designs in this movie.
absolutely.
For example, there's this girl in the class who has tiny, tiny pupils and
Yep.
massive eyes. Carries around this cat that can foresee, like, if something as bad is going
Cracked
to
me
happen to
up,
kids.
dude.
So funny, man. And then you had Igor, who had the hunched over back.
Yeah.
You had the one student that looked like the OG Frankenstein, the Boris Karloff Frankenstein. Um, and then all the monsters at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So fun. I really don't have too many bad things to say about
Yeah.
this movie. I guess I'd say it's not quite as timeless as, in my opinion, as the other two stop motion movies that I'll be talking about later, but really fun, great characters, great design, amazing animation. I like that it's all in black and white,
Mhm.
gives it an old-timey retro feel, and more kids animated movies should be in black and white. That was
Yeah.
my takeaway from this movie. So, sick film, really enjoyed it.
For the sake of time, I'll just throw mine in. Mine's considerably higher. Mine's at number 4, actually.
Okay.
But just to go off what you were saying, stylistically, this is like the most Burton that is ever Burtoned.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
character designs, as you mentioned, not only cracked me up, but I thought they add so much to it, which I thought was very sweet. The story again is like, man, let's kill a dog, and that's the story, and we're gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
Like, good on ya. I'm all for killing dogs in movies. I feel like no one has the balls to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but the music, goodness gracious, this was probably the soundtrack I've listened to the most because of the Burton rewatch.
Hmm.
Um, the music be carrying for maximum emotional manipulation at all
Yeah.
times, especially the beginning though. When he's interacting with the dog, it is really, really sweet. I think the music was like a big standout. The jokes were really funny. I liked, and then the returning cast, like this movie, it really feels like almost a magnum opus just because of all of the things in Tim Burton's career that returns, like the return of the animation, because this is his most recent claymation thing. The return of so many actors like Winona Ryder, Christopher Lee, not Bela Lugosi, Martin Landau. He's got a ton of people that come back. And I feel like it was just really sweet and kind of an emotional experience to go back and see the accumulation of a lot of what Tim Burton does. And I feel like it was all in one movie.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'd seen this once before a long time ago. I was putting it off because the movie I was subconsciously thinking of was Paranorman. And I was like, I don't want to watch
Oh,
that one. And then I was like, oh, this is different. And I like this a lot. And if you have seen the original short, this legitimately improves upon it. So I
I
thought it
haven't
was
seen the original
really
short. Yeah.
cool. I really, really liked it. And this is probably one of the biggest surprises for me of
I
this one.
also thought it was just so charming, man.
It's very
It got me a little
emotional.
got
Yeah.
me emotional, got me, just excited. I think it's his best recent movie that he's come out with.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, so good. Loved it. So, but what do you have at number 8?
Another claymation, actually. This was Corpse Bride for me.
Okay.
So Corpse
Okay.
Bride was one of my DVD movies. This is one I watched and I was like, yep, remember that scene? I remember that line. I remember that joke, but now I understand that joke. And it was, it was a lot shorter than I remembered it being. It's like barely over an hour, right? It's like an hour
It's like
10
an hour and
minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. I did forget how drab grayscale monotone. So it wasn't black and white, but it was incredibly desaturated. And I
Mhm.
thought it was a little much, a little more than I
Interesting.
remembered, to the point where I was like, I'm low key getting depressed watching this. But I feel like I, I don't know. The other thing that shocked me is I didn't understand the relationships before. Dude gets married. Like, I, for whatever reason, thought that he and this Victoria girl were like lifelong friends. I
Uh-huh.
didn't realize they'd literally met the day before and were about to get married, and they had somehow fallen in love in that
Yeah.
period of time. And then when he switches over to be with Zombie Girl, right? It's like on the flip of a hat, which I thought was really, really fast. So low key, Victor's relationship decisions, not to read too much into a kids movie, I thought I was kind of frustrated by them because I remembered them being a lot better than they actually were. But all the other pieces, like the actual claymation, the facial expressions, the music, this is probably the soundtrack I listened to the most before, interesting enough. More than Nightmare Before Christmas, more than um, pretty much any of the other ones. Like, this is the soundtrack. And then Danny Elfman goes crazy with
Yeah.
the little jazz song there in the middle.
Oh, dude, so good.
Yeah, I think that's mostly what I have to like. Still very good, but the reason it's lower on my list than I would have anticipated, this was one where it was just like a touch. Like, this probably, if I would have ranked what I'd seen before, this would probably be top 3, and I was just a touch underwhelmed. Like, it wasn't necessarily as good as I'd remembered when I was a kid, but it's
Sure.
still really, really good. And that's why it's number 8. Like, none of these are bad,
Yeah.
right?
No, these are all great movies. I put Corpse Bride at 6. It was the first movie I watched for this ranking, and I was kind of blown away by it, actually.
Yeah.
First off, shout out to the character design again. They just some of the best character design I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The really short, fat guy, that's the dad, and the really tall mom character. I
The
love those
chin,
two.
dude.
Yeah, with the chin. And then the actual corpse bride, I think that design
Gorgeous.
is just phenomenal. The blue hair and the ribs sticking out. It's
Yeah.
both like really beautiful, but also really scary, which just like nails the tone of the movie. You mentioned Tim Burton's score, which I think is great.
Danny
I
Elfman.
think some of the songs in the movie are just kind of okay, but I agree with you that the skeleton dancing song is just hits so
Yeah.
hard.
Some Oingo
And
Boingo stuff right there.
yeah, when they're rolling their heads onto each other's
Oh, it's
bodies,
so
and
good.
it's so awesome. I really enjoyed The Corpse Bride. I think the thing I liked the most about it though was more kids movies need to be sad, like
Yes.
not end on the perfect happy note.
Yeah.
And
And I
I thought
appreciate
the
the
ending
ending.
was like the perfect bittersweet
Yeah.
melancholic
I
moment.
agree.
So this was one that I didn't watch it when I was a kid. I remember it was a trailer on Harry Potter 3 DVD,
Well,
and I always liked the trailer for it, but I really enjoyed watching this one. So that was my number 6 pick. But
okay.
what did you have at 7, or did you already say your
7.
7?
No, 7, I had Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is
Oh,
one I
okay.
didn't realize I had memorized because I
Yeah.
haven't seen it in probably 10 years, but I knew every line that was coming up. It was crazy. I absolutely adored this as a kid, and I think this is one that is on par with the original, more or less. Wasn't this super low for you, Tim?
Yes, it was. Well,
Really?
not super low, more towards the middle. It was my I guess it was kind of low. It was my
I
14.
Okay. I love the humor here. Um, because I do think the Johnny Depp performance is unique. Because you've got Gene Wilder, and the last thing
Yeah.
you want is a copy of him, because it's going to be
Yeah.
worse. And so I feel like this was uh autistic, very autistic Willy Wonka. Um,
I can see that. Yeah.
like absolutely, like the mannerisms were incredibly like on the spectrum in the most respectful and wholesome way I can say. And I love how he freaking berates the kids. Every single time he snaps at one of them and calls them an insufferable twat or whatever, I thought was absolutely hysterical. And even just there's a lot of physical comedy in here. Some Edgar Wright type stuff where it just cuts to them whipping a cow and you're like, "Yo, what?" Christopher Lee, like that is an aspect they take Willy Wonka's character, and it's not like I want to know that much about him, especially after the original, but they made me care about his family situation a lot. And then they bring
Yeah.
in that overarching theme of family, and it hits really hard. I love the end, like seeing him interact with the Bucket family a lot more. Um, I I like this and the original for very different reasons because I think they do things in different ways. Kind of unlike you, I do this time around. I thought the music was low key out of place in most areas, although the lyrics were really funny. I don't know if it matched the tone super well. And then the OG flashback with the Oompa Loompas, I thought was really weird, and I would have probably cut that scene.
Yeah.
Other
I don't
than
like that
that,
scene either.
yeah, that's like the one scene where it's like, this is I don't like it enough and it doesn't add much. So legit just cut it like headcanon, it's gone. Um
Yeah.
but I thoroughly like this. And
Hmm. Ah,
Charlie Bucket's dad or his grandpa looks like the Pixar chess guy.
I,
Shout out
the
Pixar
chess.
chess guy.
Oh yeah, the Gerald's game guy.
That's the one.
I t- I could totally see it. Yeah,
Yes, you
the same
can.
guy who fixes up Woody in Toy Story 2 as well.
Of course.
Of course, a classic. All right. Well, I'm glad you liked that movie more than me. It's not my personal favorite though. Um. Okay. My number 7. Curious to see where you have this one on the list, but one that I thoroughly enjoyed watching, that is Sleepy Hollow.
Ooh,
Um,
Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow. I'll say my one criticism with the movie before I get started into the things that I love. There's just too much stuff going on in this
Agreed.
screenplay. Like it is just overstuffed and it's kind of like a whodunit mystery.
Mhm.
And I wish they would have just kind of taken that element out and had the headless horseman be the principal antagonist because
Yeah.
the headless horseman is so awesome in this movie. Oh my goodness.
The
He
Hessian.
is incredible. The way he swings around his sword, the way he just seems like some unstoppable force of nature. And it's freaking what's his name? Why can't I think of his name?
Oh, I'm blanking on it
Christopher
too.
Walken. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Christopher Walken, and he doesn't say anything. He just mumbles whenever it's his face. So awesome. That is such a great creative decision. And then I'll also say I think this is the best looking Tim Burton movie. Oh my goodness. The leaves falling on the ground as they're walking through the dead forest, the freaking windmill at the end that catches on fire. As a matter of fact, just the whole climax of this movie
Yep.
is unreal. So awesome. I think if you're going into Halloween season, you got to watch this movie. Like this movie was
100%.
tailor-made for October. Like leaves have already all fallen down from the ground. That period of the year, this movie was tailor-made for that. So I really enjoyed it. I thought Johnny Depp was decent in the movie.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the supporting cast. I thought like all the uppity guys in the village were a lot of fun. So yes, I really enjoyed Sleepy Hollow. If nothing else, just because I think this is maybe the best directed Tim Burton movie. Like just from the
Yeah.
visual end of things, I really enjoyed it. So
So they
could
did
use
build
work on the scripts,
yeah.
but visual incredible.
They
Yes.
did build an entire village for this.
So cool.
And it's worth every. I agree. This is the best set design, and I would agree that this is the best looking Burton movie, ever. And I love it so much. This is like where a lot of the ensemble. This might be the biggest ensemble cast as well, that
Yeah.
he had of Burton returners. I too love everything about it. The detective stuff gets a little floopy at times. And I think like the witchcraft stuff can get a little strange. Like my only just minor, it's not even that it's bad or even mid. It's just like not perfect. That's how high it is up here, where it's like I'm having a hard time finding things to even pick apart for the story. Um,
Yes.
but I feel like Johnny Depp's acting in this one, like it's up there for me, but it wasn't like the top one. So before going into this, this was my number two.
Mhm.
Um, After the rewatch, this is down to my number five. But it
Okay.
was like a neck and neck between this and number four, Frank and
Okay.
Weenie, which we already talked about. I had a really hard time picking which one, and honestly, I think it could go either way depending on the day. But
Yeah.
I absolutely adore Sleepy Hollow, and I think it is really fun. So I love the short story, I love the cartoon, and I love this movie, and I think all three of them hold their own in their own ways, and all three of them should be watched or consumed during the fall because it's like
I agree.
peak, not only peak spooky story, but as far as American folklore, this might be one of the best stories ever made.
I agree. I like that it isn't a one-to-one from the original,
It's not.
like something like, Alice in Wonderland, but I feel like this does a better job at capturing the tone of the original novel, the kind of dread that that one brings. And, so it's very different from the original, but I think it holds up on its own
Yeah.
despite that. So, yes, great movie. Really enjoyed Sleepy Hollow.
Okay, my number six.
Okay.
This is the first movie I rewatched for this thing, and it was Ed Wood. I think I watched it for the
Ooh,
first time not too long ago.
at 6, really?
At six.
Wow. That
Um,
surprises me. I
did you
thought it
already
would
do
be higher.
yours yet?
No,
Oh,
I haven't
really?
talked about Ed Wood yet. That's
No,
much higher on my list. Yeah.
we're gonna get to some peak stuff here.
Yes.
But Ed Wood, the standout here, I think, is Martin Landau's Bela Lugosi. I have like the
Yes. Oh,
softest
man.
spot for how he'll drop anything to go help this guy out, and
Yes.
they nail the sympathetic character aspect of the story for me. It's
Mhm.
beautifully shot. I think you're obviously going to have a lot more to say about this, and for the sake of time, I'm going to be pretty brief on this. But as someone who wants to go into filmmaking and as a struggling filmmaker with limited resources and limited actors, and that loves the kind of B movie stuff, because like Tim Burton, this must have been a relatable thing for Tim Burton too, because
Yeah.
obviously Ed Wood's trying to get Bela Lugosi, and I think a parallel to that would be Tim Burton trying to get Vincent Price in a lot of his stuff. More
Yeah.
sense. So I feel like um, this is a very telling story for Tim Burton, and I personally also just really relate to it. And the music. This is like before Danny Elfman is done by Howard Shore, who later
Yeah.
did Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which I think are the best soundtracks ever made. And
I
so even
agree.
though the soundtrack was like I didn't recognize it, or it didn't really stand out to me at all in this one, like I don't think it was bad. I don't remember it very much.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yep.
All right. So my number 6 was Corpse Bride. So I'll just skip to number 5 since we've already talked about it.
Yeah.
But I have Nightmare Before Christmas at number 5 on the list. And now we're just in the straight
Banger,
classics now.
banger, banger, banger.
Banger, banger, banger. I love this movie, obviously. How could you not? I mean, just peak stop motion
It
animation.
is.
This was the beginnings of Leica as well. This
Yeah.
was where Leica got its footing. And I think Leica is the best stop motion studio on the planet. I
Yeah.
love Leica. And but then you also take the two best holidays of all time, Christmas
And
and
Thanksgiving,
Halloween,
or I mean Halloween, Thanksgiving. Yep.
Halloween and Christmas, and you smash them together, and it's this beautiful cacophony of gothic horror and whimsy. And you got, I think the Danny Elfman score in this is better than Corpse Bride, even though I
Yeah.
love Corpse Bride music as well. I love the character of Jack Skeleton. I love what's the green guy's name again? The villain,
Oogie Boogie,
the Oogie Boogie. I love Oogie Boogie. I love the
Sinister,
mayor. Yeah.
Bagul.
Um, great movie. Perfect to watch. The great thing about this movie is you can either watch it during Halloween or during Christmas time, you know?
Yeah,
And even though Tim Burton didn't direct this one, I
yeah,
see a lot of himself in the Jack Skellington
of
character,
course,
where maybe he is typecasted as being this spooky horror guy, but maybe he also wants to branch out and do something else and be a little bit more whimsical. And he isn't accepted in other fields as much. And I think it is a personal story for Tim Burton.
of
I
course,
see a lot of himself in it, and it's just it's a classic for a reason. One of the best Disney movies ever made, undoubtedly. Okay, so
absolutely.
that's my number five. How about you?
My number five was Sleepy Hollow. And I
Okay,
feel like we've talked about that one enough. Just a fun spin on the original story. This is the second one, and you're gonna hate me even lumping this into the same category as Alice in Wonderland, but this is the only other one that it's like, this is a Dark Souls map. This is
yeah,
it, dude. And I am all for it. I want to live there. I want to live there.
me too. I was thinking kind of the same thing. Like, if it wasn't for all the people getting killed and everything, I would just enjoy hanging out and vibing in that town. It's so
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. All right, my number 4. I don't know where you're going to place this on your list, but I this one actually kind of floored me. I wasn't emotionally prepared for this one. I have Big Fish. I really liked Big Fish.
Ooh.
It's Tim Burton's most emotional film. I
Interesting. Interesting.
loved Ewan McGregor in this movie was so good. I thought he was very funny, but then also very heartfelt. And I also, he made this movie right after his dad died.
Mm-hmm.
And I really see it.
Oh, pause. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to.
That classic scene with all the daffodils in the fields. But then I also love the scene of him in the like city out in the middle of nowhere, which might be like some metaphor for heaven or something. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure. I loved all the supporting cast as well. Like I loved Steve Buscemi in this movie. He was so funny.
Ah, boy.
Freaking love that he became like
Starscream
a
himself.
Wall Street. Yeah, he became like a Wall
Oh,
Street
it's
guy.
so good.
And I love whenever he's trying to write a poem and it's just like grass is green, sky is blue. I really like this place. Whatever got me
Ah, forget about
chuckling
it.
every time. I loved that character so much. And honestly, by the end, I was a lot more moved by it than I was anticipating. It
Yeah.
made me want to call up my dad and just tell him how much I love him. And there's that scene. I think this is what you were talking about earlier in one of your favorite Tim Burton endings, where it's just like all the characters that he's met up with his whole life come
This
to
is my
see
favorite
him
Tim Burton
off. And
ending for sure.
okay, yeah, I loved that ending. So it's getting me a little emotional just thinking about it. Such a good movie. Honestly, that it's at number 4 just shows you how much I enjoy the other movies on this list.
Yeah.
So Big Fish, number 4.
So
Really
Frank
loved that
Frank and
one.
Weenie was my number 4, but Big Fish was my number 3,
Okay.
so I'll just tack on to that one.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
my favorite, my favorite Christmas movie, but one of my favorite movies just in general is It's a Wonderful Life. And I didn't think
Yeah.
anything would ever come close to touching like the relatability of life, or just like something that's so raw and so pure in terms of emotion, and that something that encapsulates that so well. I didn't think we'd get any kind of runner-ups quite like It's a Wonderful Life, but this is on that list on par with it. Um, I love how creative it is while still being
Yes.
relatable, which is
Mhm.
very, very difficult to do. Now, my mom does not like this movie. Before I was doing this,
Interesting.
she said, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Big Fish. And so I'm going to have a conversation with her because I'm very curious to hear what there isn't to like about it. It's absolutely hilarious. This is
Yes.
probably the second most emotional movie for me. but very, very close to the first. And I am just the biggest fan of playing up stories. Like everyone knows that guy. Like the gist is his dad is just a Mater's tall tales, dude. He just tells things to make them sound way better than they actually were. And the ending, spoiler, like spoil next 30 seconds, because literally watch the movie if you haven't seen it. But the ending is so real, where it's like there's a piece of me that is like, this is Tim Burton, this is fantasy. This stuff is gonna end up being real. But when the doctor's like, nah, you were just born on an afternoon, your dad missed it. And he's like, which story do you like better? Because now you have both of them. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe you did that. That is like thematically one of the most powerful and gutsy moves you could have made as a director. And I was absolutely shocked. I love Big Fish a lot. I think everyone needs to see it. The characters are perfect. The ending is absolutely perfect. So, um,
I
low
agree
key,
with you.
9
I'll
out of
also throw
10.
in
10 out of
Yeah, I'll
10.
also throw in the scene in the bathtub is so sweet.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't
The
know, he's like
mom.
in the bathtub, he's dying of cancer, and this mom who he has loved his whole life, she jumps in the bathtub and they just kind of cuddle in the bathtub together.
It
And it's one of
sounds
the
sus, but it's
sweetest
so
things.
sweet.
No, it's the sweetest thing ever. I mean, they both have all their clothes on, and you're
Yeah,
just like, oh, I love these guys so much. They have the best relationship ever. It's so adorable. Love that
for
scene.
sure.
Okay. All right. My number three. You might get at me for this one. My number three is Beetlejuice. I
Okay.
really like Beetlejuice. I knew you had it pretty far down on your
Yeah.
list. It's one of my favorites. But when I think of Tim Burton, Beetlejuice really is the first movie that comes to mind.
Really?
In that, I just think it's so funny, hilarious. I get a kick out of it every time I watch it. I'm just chuckling the whole time through. I love the production design. I love each and every one of the characters, like the goofy dad, Catherine O'Hara, um, Winona Ryder's character, the goth queen. You know, she's so fun in the movie. I love the its depiction of the afterlife is so original and unlike any other depiction of the afterlife I've ever seen. I love
Yeah.
that these characters are just kind of stuck in this house. It's one of those movies where, like, with Big Fish, there's so many things that you can point to as like, oh yeah, I understand. I connect with this movie emotionally. With Beetlejuice, I just kind of feel like when I put it on, I just enjoy it immensely from the beginning to the end. It's maybe less emotionally impactful than Big Fish. It obviously is, but it's just a movie that I enjoy so much that I had to have it high up on my list. And it's Tim Burton at his like very creative, extremely fun, great score, great acting, hilarious. That's why it's my number three on the list.
Yeah. Yeah, I still like, this is one that might grow on me over time, but I just felt it was random to its detriment, and I don't
Mm.
know. Stylistically, there's no dogging on it, but I just cannot get behind it, which is weird because I feel like I'm one of the only people that feel that way, but it's hard to necessarily. I wish we had
Mm.
more time to stew on that. And maybe on a future day we can watch it together and kind of talk about it. Because I feel
Yeah,
like it's
for
always
sure.
a fun experience to watch it with other people. But my number two, you've already talked about, Nightmare Before Christmas. We watched this
Okay.
every single year of my entire life on Halloween up until I went to Texas for my mission. So that was the first year of my life that I did not watch it, and I was struggling all day long because I wanted to watch it so bad. The music is the most iconic. Like, Disney is. How could they ever kick out Tim Burton? Because look what he did for them. Like, he's made just the most iconic Halloween thing. Like, this is everywhere. All the decorations, all the wallpapers, like, his character design has made the holiday. It is like a part of the holiday in a way that where, like, I mean, there's lots of Christmas movies you can associate with Christmas, but like, this has made Halloween a different holiday. I think
Yeah.
alone, which is crazy, but um Yeah, there's not much more I can add to it. I absolutely love everything about it. I love the character designs, I love the music, I love the story. I think the comedy's hilarious, and I think it's quirky and awesome in just about every way. And it is a Tim Burton movie, so
Yeah.
any
It
objectors
kind of
can
feels
go
like,
choke.
yeah, it feels like the Charlie Brown Christmas of Halloween, where it's just like you can't take those two apart. They are
You
so
can't.
intrinsically linked now that so yeah, I agree. Amazing movie. Okay, my number 2 is Ed Wood, which I think means that we have the same number 1 movie.
No way!
Yeah, which is
No
crazy.
way!
I love Ed Wood. Um I say that Big Fish is the most emotional Tim Burton movie, but Ed Wood is not far behind. I think everything that he does with
Yeah,
Bela Lugosi in this movie
absolutely.
is so touching. And I agree with what you said with it's so sweet with how Ed Wood will just drop everything to go and help his friend. And he visits him while he's in
Oh, it's
rehab.
so good.
And he filmed his last scene that he was ever in and built a
Oh,
whole movie around it, you know? It's so touching. But then I just love So Bad They're Good movies. I just eat those things up. I think they're so fun. And I love that there's a movie out there that isn't like pointing the finger of scorn at it, but like celebrating it. Like,
yeah.
yes, you made bad movies, but we love them. Thank you for doing that. And look how cool of a guy he actually was and kind of how ahead of his time he was. And he had a lot of interesting things that he wanted to say about like trans rights and transvestites. And um
I love
I
the
thought that was
fuzzy sweater, dude. Cracks me up.
yeah, it's it is. It doesn't take away from the humor of the situation, but it also elevates it to where they said, no, he was doing something special, and we should celebrate his life for somebody that actually wanted to create something, you know? And I thought that was amazing. And this is my favorite Johnny Depp performance ever. I think he is
Really?
astounding in this movie. He has this like bright, bubbly energy to him that I think is just kind of infectious and
Oh, it
exciting
makes
and
you
makes me
happy.
want to yeah, it's like he loves life and I wanna be next to the guy, you know, because he makes me wanna love life too. So, love Johnny Depp in this movie. I thought a Patricia Arquette was really good. That's her only Tim Burton role I know of. And I'm a big Patricia Arquette fan. I think she's amazing. She's great in Severance. She's great in Holes. She's great in Lost Highway by David Lynch. She's great here. Um, also, close second for best looking Tim Burton movie. I think the
Yeah.
look of this movie is amazing. Great black and white shots, really rich shadows. Everything looks so great. So Ed Wood is my number 2. Absolutely obsessed with this movie.
I'm floored
But
that
like
we
I
have the
said,
same number one.
we have the same number 1. So you go ahead and introduce it, and
Okay.
I'll add my thoughts as well.
Now, this is a movie that I was exposed to as a child, more or less, without having seen it. My dad had the picture of this on his wall, and I feel like this has got to be his favorite. Like, I need to ask him about it. But, so the dinosaur shrubbery and the butterfly are all things I was familiar with when I looked at the poster for Edward Scissorhands, which is the most Tim Burton movie out there. Everything I love about Tim Burton and my favorite things in all these other movies is present. Very, very present in this movie. I think it has probably the most emotional soundtrack from Danny Elfman that I've gotten. Like, if you want to get in the feels, like, pretty much hit shuffle. Like, you're gonna find something. This is also my favorite Johnny Depp performance, solely because he says almost nothing and conveys
Yeah.
the most wide range of emotions with literally just his eyes and
Mhm.
facial expressions, body language. Like, the other week we had a class for interpersonal communications where we were talking about nonverbal communication, and we had to share examples of it. And I just sent the scene where Winona Ryder walks into her bedroom and he's lying there
Mhm.
and he's like shrugging in the hallway, and like he goes downstairs and he's got the bottle of brandy, and I can't even describe how much. I maybe have 5 10 out of 10 movies ever. This is one of them. I've cried
Mhm.
every single time I've watched it, which is like that never happens for me. I wouldn't say I'm closed
Mhm.
off, but like movies are stories, right? But the reason I think this one gets to me is because I time to get vulnerable on our podcast that maybe no one's gonna listen to, but I definitely relate a lot, more or less, to Edward Scissorhands because I think a lot of us can feel different in a way, where we don't think people care that much about it or think that we're really weird, and it's not like they mean to, but we can tell people look at us strange for our views or our takes or our looks or whatever. And typically at first the cycle goes they applaud you for it, and this is kind of the class clown phase. I more or less have been a class clown in my lives, in my friendships, my work environments, and I feel like people kind of applaud me for it. They're entertained by me, but at a very surface level. And then when it's within people's interest to kind of benefit from their own things, or when you're not providing something that they love, it I feel like people quickly turn on you for being different. But then there's always the few that are always there. The mom in that movie, dude, she's always there. I literally, like, it's not one time you cry in this movie. There's so many. Like the moment when she has like no hair left to give, dude. The full on the giving tree. She's like, "Edward, can you give me a haircut?" She's like nothing left, and she knows that's what he likes to do, and it's something that'll make him happy. And so the aesthetic of the town, the music, freaking Winona Ryder. The biggest inconsistency with my life in this movie is I have no Winona Ryder, and that is a travesty. This is absolute someday, bro. Someday. I can't even describe how much I love this movie. It'll never get old. It is on par with The Lord of the Rings for me in works of fiction, and it was my number one going into this, and I'm not surprised in the slightest that it didn't change.
You know, it's not quite as personal of a movie for me. I just watched it relatively recently, but I agree with everything that you said. It's such an emotional movie. Um, and it's the most Tim Burton movie
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
I feel like it's his most personal. Like when I see Edward Scissorhand, I look at it and I'm like, okay, this is the story of Tim Burton's life. This is how he sees himself. And that's really beautiful. I love the way the town looks, you know, with
that they
it's all
built from
so cookie
scratch.
cutter and they built it from scratch. Yeah. And then there's the giant mansion up on top of the hill that's super gothic and crazy and weird. And what a great visual way to distinguish, you know, the character of Edward Scissorhands from the rest of the town that's down there. I love just about everything about this movie. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's wonderful, whimsical, very Burton-esque, and it's like the defining piece of his filmography. I was actually kind of going back and forth on whether I wanted it to be Ed Wood or Edward Scissorhands is my favorite because I love both of those
Yeah,
movies a lot. But Edward Scissorhand ultimately is the defining Tim Burton feature. You know,
yeah.
it's the one that 100 years from now, if we learn about Tim Burton in school, they'll point to Edward Scissorhands as like this was what Tim Burton was all about. And you got to respect that. And on top of that, it's very entertaining. It's very funny. It's very, very melancholic. It has that bittersweet ending. The
Oh,
scene of Winona
oh
Ryder
my gosh.
dancing in the snow while he's carving out this ice sculpture,
Yeah.
so beautiful.
I mean,
It's like
there's
all you need to know
so
about
many
the
gut
movie.
punch scenes right there because you also have like the creator. You get the
Yes.
lore, and like he's giving him the hands, and it's like right after the scene where she's like hugging him. It's like you
Hmm.
can't do that to me. You can't put them
Yeah.
back to back to back like that. It is so good. And again, this is one of the few where Tim Burton was pretty much completely involved in the story and the script.
Yeah.
He typically adapts other things, but just for its originality and its uniqueness, like there is nothing like this movie out there, and everything that is similar to it nowadays is a copy. Um,
Hmm.
like it is one of a kind, and it's everything I think you can aspire to make as a feature, and it is easily his most defining thing, no question.
I agree. Yeah, and going into this ranking, I wasn't the biggest Tim Burton fan, but it's movies like this that
Yeah,
make you a Tim Burton fan, that make you
literally,
say, "Wow, he was really special,"
he was.
And yeah, he made a few
Made
stinkers, he made a
Dumbo,
few movies he made Dumbo, he made Alice in
Peregrine
Wonderland,
children person.
freaking y but, he also made Edward Scissorhands, so for that, he deserves a place amongst, like, the most famous directors ever made,
Absolutely.
and so, fantastic guy, love his movies. I was so glad that I had the opportunity to get through all of these movies because found that I loved a lot more of them than I was expecting. Because
Yeah.
I probably never would have watched Big Fish apart from this, and
I
I loved
literally
Big
wouldn't
Fish,
have. I am shocked.
Yeah,
And I will be thinking about that movie for a long time. And I
yeah.
will be
So,
recommending it to many, many people because it is a genuinely beautiful movie. But
yep.
yeah.
All right. Well, that concludes it. Do you have any final words you'd like to say before we head
I
out,
don't know.
Elliot?
I thought that was fun. I'm honestly a little surprised by how similar our lists were. Like I feel like we had a few differences, more or less,
Yeah.
but typically there's a not contention, but I feel like we this was honestly like an olive branch where I feel like we both had like really good experiences
Yeah.
doing this, and I feel like the conversations were really good. And low key, looking at the clock for the last 30 minutes, it's a shame we saved the best for last because there's so much more. And I'd rather talk about the better stuff than the bad stuff or
Yeah,
the
I
stuff that we
agree.
think is
Me
bad. And
too.
I wish we could have had more time to do it, and we probably will in the future. But it was a really fun experience. I heavily recommend Tim Burton. And obviously, if there's any movies on here that people have not seen before, I would recommend checking them out because even I, a Tim Burton fan, ever since I was a wee lad, had not seen them all, and now having done so, I feel like, especially the ones that you hear are good. Take our ranking as objective because we're not saying you got to go watch Peregrine Home for Peculiar Children or Dumbo. Like you
Oh,
genuinely don't. But anything on our top tens, like even Beetlejuice, I'd say Beetlejuice is unique enough where even though I didn't necessarily enjoy it, like it's one you just gotta see. Like it's a Halloween
yeah.
movie and it's incredibly original. So I couldn't recommend it more.
Yeah, I feel like that was really our only point
Yeah.
difference was our thoughts on Beetlejuice, but, that's
Yeah.
fine. You can think what you want about it.
And
I,
honestly, like I don't even think that you're super wrong. I just don't
yeah,
get behind it. I mean, there's things that I think are objectively bad and that I'd fight you on it, but it's like I don't see any need to for this one. Like
yeah,
it's an agreeable enough opinion.
yeah, and I like that kind of poetic that we both have the top one,
I'm
we both
shocked.
have the same movie.
I
That's
did
kinda great.
not I could never have thought that low key.
Yeah, but great number 1, great
Best
list.
number
I had a
one.
ton of fun talking with you on the
Yeah.
podcast today, Elliot, so sweet. Let's just sign off then. If you're still listening, thank you guys for listening to the whole thing. Make sure to follow us so you can, get additional episodes in the future, and,
Yeah, let us
we'll
know
be
what
signing
people want to
off.
hear. If
Yeah.
anyone's still around here at 2.5 hours,
Yeah,
pretty long for an episode.
that is pretty long. It was a fun time, though.
Good times.
Alright, well, we'll be signing off then.
See ya.
See ya.
Okay. That was good. That was good.
That
I
was
had
good.
so
Here, let
much
me
fun.
just that was a lot of fun. I didn't realize we had been talking for 2